electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
The Miami Hurricanes are oh so close to being back, Cole. But I'm not going to give them that kind of credit yet. All credit to Miami for winning the football game last night against Ole Miss, even though they came close to letting Ole Miss back into this ball game, a game that it looked like Ole Miss was being absolutely dominated in the first half. But I am not willing to say that a team is back, especially one that has a pedigree of winning national championships. They are not back until they win a national championship. Is that too high of a bar to set for these Miami Hurricanes?
You realize what you just did, right? You have Diesel. Do you realize what you just did by saying that? The entire stream for 3-4 hours on the show today, Matt Kraft is going to be so mad at you for saying that. He's going to be offended, slighted. I mean, you just opened the can of worms. I don't know if you were ready for it, but you did it. Let me think on this. Are they back? I'm going to disagree with you. I'm going to say, yes, I think they are back.
Stop sucking up to Mad Crab.
He didn't pay me. I can't tell you. I can't disclose what he did Venmo me to say this, but I think they are. The U is officially back in my mind. Last night was incredible. And you know what's crazy about it, Diesel? I'm younger than most people listening to the show. I, in my lifetime, have not seen Miami on that stage. So it was kind of cool. Right? It was kind of different. Ole Miss, Miami, winner goes to the national championship game. I didn't watch a lot of the Michael Irvin Miami teams, and I know some of our Tolos probably loved those Miami teams. I've never seen Miami on that stage. So to me, they are back, and it's almost like the first time I've ever seen Miami on that stage.
You act like 2001 was 50 years ago.
Well, I could not watch. When I was, let's see, in 2001, I was 5. So yeah. I don't remember watching TV. I mean, maybe I did. Maybe I did. I don't remember. I don't remember what I did yesterday, much less what I did when I was 5 years old. Maybe I was a Miami Hurricane Michael Irvin fan at 5 years old. But nonetheless, it's really cool to see change in the sport. For as much, Diesel, as we fuss and complain about the sport of college football, seeing different teams is kind of fun, right? And last night was kind of refreshing. I know you still have all of the mess with the NCAA and the Trinidad Chambliss and the Demon Williams kid and all this other stuff that goes along with it, but it was kind of refreshing last night to see two new teams. Hey, and same thing tonight.
Yeah, we got a game last night that seemed like it was going to maybe turn into a little bit of a Miami rout. I mean, we saw Miami dominating at the line of scrimmage. We saw Miami wrapping up, tackling well. Ole Miss was getting nothing offensively in the first half. And then as the game moves along, credit to Pete Golding and his staff, and they were able to make some adjustments and turn this thing into a very, very compelling second half of a ball game, Cole. I mean, I was going into halftime thinking, this game's going to end in like a 15-12 kind of game.
Yeah.
It's going to be a field goal contest. It's not going to be all that good. And then what happens, man? They just popped the top off of this thing, pulled the cork out. The second half was awesome.
It was. And you know what? It was kind of like two teams feeling themselves out a little bit, Diesel, and it kind of lasted, to your point, it kind of lasted a little bit longer than we thought it would. And Miami, I mean, my gosh, like you said, to start the game, it was only like one-sided. Even though the score didn't really show it, even though it was a close game, like I'm telling you, watching that game last night, I took a couple of notes, Diesel. Carson Beck wasn't great early in the game. He missed a wide-open receiver, number 10, on the first drive of the game, right? That guy was wide open. Beck's timing was off, right? They go for it on 4th and 1. Credit to the officials, though, for getting that targeting play right and reversing it. That was not targeting. You can't do anything in that situation. But it was just kind of both teams feeling themselves out. Miami made mistakes early, Diesel. Ole Miss made mistakes early. Miami had that 3rd and 9. False start turned into 3rd and 14. They had to punt the football. Big run for an Ole Miss touchdown. But other than that big run from Ole Miss, they didn't do anything in the first half.
True. The college football playoff, really needed a compelling game like this to keep people in it the entire time. We've had so many games in the past. That's not to say that tonight's game will be equally as compelling and be a one-score game late coming down the stretch. Blowouts happen in the college football playoff. It just happens. But, to have last night represent the second latest as far as time on the clock goes, that a lead changed and a team took the lead to go on and win.
Sure.
The second latest score for a win in college football playoff history was just phenomenal. You got to go all the way back. Nobody's going to beat the 2017 national championship game where Clemson scored with a second left on the clock to beat Alabama. But, Carson Beck scampers into the end zone, and he was left wide freaking open. Nobody.
Wide open.
The offense's left side of that field there, wide open, walks into the end zone with 18 seconds to go on the clock. You feel for the Ole Miss defense because they got absolutely obliterated all game long. Time of possession was so lopsided. Those guys were beat. And I'm thinking, why are these guys giving up on the play? They're not even chasing Carson back down. I don't think they had anything left.
No, you're right. And by the way, shout out to Madcraft. He copied me, though I don't know if I can really give him a shout out. I picked Miami by 4, Diesel, and Miami won by 4. He copied me. So there you go, Madcraft. You're welcome. You know what's funny about that, Diesel? Kind of those two teams last night, I don't want to say they looked uncomfortable, but with 7:09 to go in the second quarter, Miami's offense had run 34 plays to Ole Miss's 8 plays. They outgained Ole Miss at that point in the ball game, 155-72, which is complete and total domination. Yet Miami only led 10-7. So at that point in the game, I'll be honest with you, I was worried. I really was worried. I was thinking, man, Miami's dominating this thing, Diesel, and they're not doing anything. But you said it, the fourth quarter was nuts. How about this, Diesel? In the third quarter, there were 3 points scored altogether, combined. In the fourth quarter, there were 25 points scored. So you said it. They ramped it up. The lid came off, whatever. I guess it's just a sense of urgency. I don't know if play calling changes in the fourth quarter of a playoff game of that magnitude to where you call the game with more urgency, Diesel, but it definitely did. The fourth quarter almost seemed like a separate game than the first 3, but what a good fourth quarter it was.
Yeah, we might be talking about a different outcome if Kawan Lacey doesn't get injured there in that first.
Oh, no doubt.
He had that amazing run for the touchdown, and then he was a non-factor for the vast majority of that game.
Yeah.
You look at the stats; they only had 2 runs of 10 yards or more in that ball game. That is not Ole Miss football. And again, credit to Miami for being able to shut them down. Again, tackling was incredible for the Hurricanes. It was, frankly, it was piss poor for the Ole Miss Rebels. They could not get players down to the ground. I remember watching one specific play. It was a big gain for Miami where the Ole Miss player tries to wrap up and tackle his feet. You're not going to get Miami players down onto the ground if you're trying to do shoestring tackles. You got to stay up. You got to hit them with your chest. You got to wrap them up, take them to the ground. You cannot reach for the feet against this.
No, you're right.
Too good for that.
I also want to say one thing. And when I haven't watched every Miami game. Last night was the first time that I probably watched the entirety of a Miami game. I've got to say, of all the players I've watched this year, Malachi Toney for Miami, number 10, that guy's nice. That guy's really, really good. They've got a lot of really good players on that football team. But number 10, he's just got something special right there. He is truly special. And you talk about that game-winning drive, Diesel, 27-24, Ole Miss. 55 seconds to go in that game, Diesel. It was 3rd and 10. So what did we talk about yesterday? I asked you the question, which quarterback do you trust more, Trinidad or Carson Beck? Well, guess what Carson Beck did last night? When the game was on the line, he made throws. 3rd and 10, a completion. And I thought a lot of the gutsiness of Carson Beck. Was he perfect? No. But guess what? He was all you needed him to be. 23 of 37, 268, 2 touchdowns. I didn't really fault him for that interception, right? But on that 3rd and 10, man, with a minute to go, Diesel, he had time, great protection, stepped up in the pocket, hit his receiver at the 20-yard line, and then you talked about that run. Do you think you and I mean, we did a 40-yard dash. I think we could have scored on that. I mean, all kidding aside, he was so open on that play.
Yeah.
I was impressed.
Yeah, it was it was a fun football game for the ages. It gave everybody a little taste of something, whether you like defense, whether you like weird stuff happening like that doink field goal that went in for Ole Miss, whether you like late game heroics. You had a little bit of everything. And I know Madcraft is just being Madcraft right now. I texted him last night to congratulate his team on the win, and I said, hey, Carson Beck showed me something.
He did, man.
What do you mean? He's been showing it all year. He had like 130 yards last week.
Right.
And he had 270,
That's just
268 yards this week. He doubled his production from last week. So if you don't believe that is showing somebody something that I can't really help you.
No, that's just fans being fans. They don't understand. That's the big Diesel. You're 100% right. It's the biggest stage other than the national championship. And look, here's the reality of it. If you go back to that fourth down or that fourth quarter, Diesel, when he had that 3rd and 10 throw and then the 2nd 11 throw to get the first down, he was really, really good. And I'm with you. He showed me something. I left that game thinking, man, Carson Beck's still the real deal. He can still win a national championship. But guess what? I also went back this morning and rewatched that game-winning drive. You know what else Carson Beck had, Diesel? If you go back and watch right now, Carson Beck had incredible protection on that game-winning drive. The 3rd and 10 play, the 2nd and 11, even the play where he stepped up in the pocket and went to the left and scored. Diesel, his protection last night was unbelievable. So as much as we credit him, his offensive line was awesome down that stretch of that football game. And guess what? When it's 2nd and goal with 24 seconds to go, he doesn't score that touchdown if it's not for that interior protection. Go back and watch the highlights. All three, both guards in the center, it was a stone wall. Carson Beck had nothing. The 2 tackles collapsed. He stepped up, and you're right. He had green grass and took off, and I'm happy for the guy. Like, to transfer from Georgia to Miami and still be in a national championship, I think Carson Beck deserves a lot of respect.
Do you know that Carson Beck is 2 years away from getting his AARP card? He's an old guy. Dewey says Carson Beck needs to graduate college and go away.
He is old.
Cole, can we all be adults here and admit, and I'm even asking Madcraft here, can we be adults and admit that was pass interference on the final play of the game? That was absolutely pass interference. It was not a Hail Mary. Hail Mary, we all know what Hail Mary plays are. Everybody gets in the end zone. You stand, back to front. You're on the goal line. You throw the ball up in the air, and you hope that it comes down in the hands of the right player. That was an intentional pass.
You're talking about the last play of the game?
The final play of the game, Miami's Ethan O'Connor has a hand on the receiver's sort of collar of his shoulder pads. He pulls him down. Now, that would lead to an untimed play, one more opportunity. I'm not saying that Ole Miss wins the game if they get one more play, but it at least creates the opportunity. And, there's a lot of people, and Ole Miss fans are going to be talking about this for generations. They're going to be saying, we got jobbed at the end of that game. I don't like anybody, miss me with the argument. Anybody that wants to make it right now, oh, you got to swallow the whistle in that situation. No, you don't. You don't swallow the whistle in that situation. You call the game the same way all the way through. Chalk it up to what it was. It was a missed call. Miami was the beneficiaries. I still think they were the better team all night.
Sure.
Again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Miami. I still think they were the better team, but that should have been called. Trinidad Chambliss should have had one more opportunity to try to get the ball in the end zone.
So I've got that play pulled up. The ball was on the 35, right? It was 1st and 10, 6 seconds to go. It was empty backfield for Trinidad. I'm watching here, and I remember the play, but he heaves it to the end zone. That's the one you're talking about. And
he throws it from about the 40-yard line-ish. That's where we're standing.
And the oldest receiver does come up with his hands in the air like, what the heck? So, to me, watching it from the highlight like that I am now, not having a great angle on the play, it does look like the Miami DB, as soon as he gets in the end zone, is kind of riding him in terms of kind of grabbing him and almost kind of going for the ball a little bit more. There's a lot of traffic down there. I don't have the best angle on it. I think they showed it last night, but it does look a little handsy. But you're right. That happens all the time. Let me ask you this question. Did you realize you just talked about Carson Beck's age, Diesel? Carson Beck was in the same recruiting class with C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson,
and Dan Marino,
and Bryce Young. Bryce Young. That's how old Carson Beck is. Same recruiting class with C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, and Bryce Young. And Madcraft brought it up on the stream when I was talking about number 10 for Miami, Tony, who I thought was just incredible. Malachi Tony, I love that guy. He says number 10, Tony, was 11 when Beck was a freshman in college. Is that true, Madcraft? I really don't know if it is, but if that's true, that is insane. Nonetheless, he's an old quarterback, Diesel, and we talked about it. He's a very, very veteran, seasoned kind of guy, and that matters.
Well, guess what? Madcraft's going to give us his opinion live right now on the air.
Let's go.
Madcraft, your thoughts. What did you see on that final play, taking your orange and green glasses off?
Yeah, you might have to repeat yourself. You were kind of out of it at the beginning.
No, what did you see? Taking your Miami shaded sunglasses off. What did you see on the final play? Legitimately.
I definitely did see, a lot of contact. But it kind of like Cole's got it pulled up, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so Cole can see kind of what I'm talking about. My opinion actually would take the whole situation out. If you're going to let the players play and not do the calls, whatever, think about this. Had that specific defender, if you take him out of the play, like I'll rate him from the play, does the wide receiver catch that football?
That doesn't matter.
My answer.
That doesn't matter, though.
Well, I know. Well, why not, though?
Because it's not in the rule.
And if you pull a guy down, you're slowing him down. You're not allowing him to run full speed through the back of the end zone. I agree with you, Madcraft, in the sense that the ball was slightly overthrown, and it was bordering on uncatchable.
It wasn't. It wasn't that he was being slowed down. It wasn't that it was an uncatchable ball. If you take that receiver specifically, Cole, watch the play again.
Yeah.
What happens to the football?
I'm watching it right now. So here's the start of the play. 6 seconds to go. All right, the receiver literally is picked up in the end zone by the DB. That's when the contact starts. The football hits the guy in the hand, Madcraft.
Yes, but why doesn't he catch it there? What causes him to not catch it? There's another defender that comes in right there that you guys are some.
I'm watching. I'm watching it right now. The other defender makes contact with a Miami defender, but does not make contact with the Ole Miss defender.
He makes contact with the ball.
I don't think he does. I don't think so. I don't think he does. I don't think that guy in that clip there had any effect on the receiver catching the football or not. Nonetheless, I mean, like you cannot just like defend it. By the way, here it is for those watching the stream. Here's the last play. If you're watching the stream, this is the last play. And Madcraft's talking about right here, the Miami defender comes in. The ball hit him in the hand, so like you can't say it's uncatchable.
I want to be clear. I'm not defending it, okay?
Sounds like
I want to be very clear on that. Like, no, I'm just saying that I could see that being the situation. Come on, man. They were calling and not calling stuff all night.
Hey, just admit that you got away with one. It's okay. It's not going to change the outcome of the game. You got away
I don't
with
think
one.
it changes the outcome.
I don't. It doesn't. But I'm not going to admit that we got away with one. That's not how I see it. There were a lot of things that Ole Miss got away with last night.
But we're not talking about the rest of the game. We're talking about the final play, and whether or not it was a DPI.
I've got it stopped. Yeah, I've got it stopped on the screen right now. Like literally, if you're watching the stream, 75 Tolos are. It's stopped. The ball's in the air. And you can see the Ole Miss wide receiver. There's clear contact. And again, I'm with you. I don't think it changes the game, but if you're watching it as it stopped right there, and now there's the rest of the play. It hits him in the hand. There's clear contact. I still think Miami wins, but I'm with Diesel. I mean, it's okay to say, yeah, we might have got away with it, but I still don't think it changes the outcome.
But see, okay, well then I'll just change my answer to where were the receivers' hands at this point when they were entering the end zone? Where were the receivers' hands? Because
He's
they-
got
they
he's
should
got
have been
one
free
hand.
trying to go to the ball.
He's got his right hand. He's looking back over his right shoulder. His right hand is off by itself. No, there's no impedance on his right hand. His left hand, I'm looking at the angle where you're looking at the guy's chest, the receiver's chest. The defensive back has his hand gripping onto the wide receiver's shoulder pads right there under his collar, right? So then you go another 2 yards. Looks like the wide receiver, his hand is out and it is on the defensive back somewhere. You can't see it because there's a body between you and his hand, from the camera to his hand. And I mean,
It's still contact. It's contact.
If
We
he's
can,
getting
yeah.
pulled to the ground by his collar, that's a DPI.
It's still
But
contact.
There's mutual contact.
But there's mutual contact on every single play.
Hey, the
Not every
reality
single
though
play
is,
you
Matt
see
Kraft,
getting pulled to the ground.
Okay. So exactly. So it then comes down to did they call it or did they not? And I said Ole Miss got away with a lot of stuff earlier in the game, but we can't talk about things that are earlier or not in the game.
we can.
That's
So
fair.
then I gave you the simple.
Yeah.
Then I gave you the simple hypothetical. Let's just say what happens on that play if you remove that defender and that wide receiver was just able to run normally. That pass would have happened in the back corner of the end zone the exact same way.
And it's a
The
touchdown.
receiver would have been. No. There's
Yeah.
another defender that
Okay.
was coming in to stop that pass from being a successful pass.
Maybe.
Hey, the
Maybe.
reality
All right.
is you won, and that's all that matters, right? You won.
That's what matters. Hey, Madcraft,
That is
appreciate the call. We'll chat with you on the stream. We got to let you go because we have a guest coming up in the
Well,
next
yeah, we'll get back to it. There's a lot more conversation, college football conversation coming up on the show. Greer News Sports, Trey Stewart talking local high school basketball. We're in the thick of region play right now. Trey covers Greer. He covers Burns, Riverside, Eastside, Blue Ridge. Blue Ridge had a huge winter break with a big win up at the Battle at the Border tournament in Landrum. And we'll get to Trey Stewart of Greer News Sports to talk a little local high school hoops next right here on the Fan Upstate.
text or call. One number does it all. 844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
It's time to bring it local on this Friday edition of the show as we're joined by Trey Stewart of Greer News Sports, who's a good friend of the show. Let's talk a little local high school basketball. We'll also get to some high school football as well, maybe on the show, and some reclassifications, new classifications, how that impacts the teams that he covers. Make sure you give him a follow at Greer News Sports on X. Trey covers Greer, Burns, Riverside, East Side, Blue Ridge. Trey, let's start with Blue Ridge, man. Battle at the Border tournament up at Landrum, and Blue Ridge goes up there and wins the whole thing. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong on this, they've beaten Landrum 3 times now this season, including in that tournament where they won the Battle at the Border. We talk a lot about some of these other schools that you cover, but Blue Ridge basketball, are they legit? Are they for real?
You are correct, and it's good to be with you guys again. You are correct. They beat Landrum 3 times this year, which is crazy because it was about 5 or 6 years since the last time they beat Landrum until this year. That Landrum had consistently had their number until this season. I think it was 8 or 9 wins in a row against Blue Ridge. But this year, Blue Ridge has come out and beat them 3 times. And when Blue Ridge is playing their best basketball, they're a complete team. They can actually make some noise. They have not put it all together yet this season. I think they would tell you that as well. But they've got potential, and they definitely, as region play gets going and they get healthy, a couple guys sick, a couple guys dealing with some injuries, they could definitely make some noise in that region.
Trey, the way basketball has gone, especially professional basketball, but a little college as well, we tend to focus less on teams. Unfortunately, we focus a little bit more on stars. Maybe it's a little easier for us to wrap our minds around 1 or 2 great players rather than multiple teams. But so far, as the season is still fairly young, who are you looking at around the region and the handful of teams that you cover as guys that are truly special at this point in the season?
Absolutely. Well, I will say the Greer area is blessed with immense basketball talent. I know Cole sees it kind of every night with Burns basketball. But I want to start with Sabi Boyabueno at Riverside. He's a senior kind of combo guard. He's a very tall. He's like 6'3". Can kind of play a bunch of different positions on the court. But he's a fantastic player for Coach Arnold's team. And he's had a really good year so far. I think he's averaged about 21, 22 points a game. And then obviously I would be remiss if I did not mention one Colt Fowler at Burns High School as a junior. He's doing things that I've personally never seen done on the court at the high school basketball level. I think he was 4th in the nation last year in assists per game, and he's 2nd in the nation so far this year, while he's also averaging 24 points a game. I mean, it's absurd the kind of stuff he does on the court every single night. He's one of those players that truly you look back on when you're done with all this and you say, man, I'm blessed that I got to cover, that kid's journey throughout high school basketball, high school sports. I mean, he's just incredible. And I know Cole can vouch for that too, because he, every Tuesday and Friday he sees some of the crazy stuff that Colt's able to do. I think he had 32 and 10 last on Tuesday night against Gaffney, and that was just in 3 quarters of play. I mean, it really is. It's special, and it's kind of unheard of what this kid's doing.
Trey, you were talking about the kid from Riverside, Allen Arnold, always a good team. One of the coaches in the region told me this morning that they're, one of the better teams in the state this year, but sometimes you get trapped in that region, where you have such good teams like Dorman, like Spartanburg, like Burns. Allen Arnold does a tremendous job. You mentioned there. I think what I look at in terms of recent memory this year is like correct me if I'm wrong, before Christmas, Riverside, Spartanburg. I think it's Spartanburg's only region loss of the season. They had a 8-9 point lead over Riverside, over Allen Arnold's club. And for whatever reason, Riverside basketball kind of flies under the radar a little bit, but year in and year out, they're good, they're disciplined, they're coached well. And tell us a little bit more about this year's team over in Greer for Riverside.
You're right. They do sort of fly under the radar every year, which is wild considering they were a state runner-up 2 years ago.
Wow.
Only losing to Ridgeview by 6 points in the state championship. And we all know how Ridgeview is year in and year out. But no, they are an impressive team. They are a very just disciplined team. Allen Arnold, he has a system he likes to run. He wants things done his way. It's always take the great shot, never settle for the decent shot, for the mid-range if it's not there. I mean, it's very almost militaristic the way that he runs the ship there, but it works, and it's why year in and year out he's producing good teams. And even when you have as much depth as Riverside has this year, you're going to be a good team. But having Sabibu Agueno to kind of carry the load sometimes when it gets into crunch time and the game gets close at the end, he really put the team on his back in that Spartanburg game that you mentioned, where they came back down. I believe it was 10 points in the last 43 seconds of that game. When you have a player like that that's just that dynamic and can kind of put the team on his back, it's a recipe for success. And they've lost, I believe, 2 games this year. And one of them was to Dorman, and Dorman's an incredible team this year. We know how well Coach Ryan runs his operation over there. And then they lost to Greenville by 3 points at Greenville just before Christmas. And obviously Greenville, the defending 5A D2 state champion. So Riverside's legit. They're here to play this year, and I would not be surprised to see them make another deep run in the 5A D2 playoff.
Talking to Trey Stewart of Greer News Sports. When we spend a lot of time in football season talking about especially Region 2 5A football up in that area, it's just a region full of juggernauts, just really good football programs all over the place up there. As somebody like myself who is not as versed in that area of basketball, would you say it's kind of a similar similar paradigm up there, or is it different?
I would go as far as say it might even be better in terms of the basketball quality in this region, because up until I think 2 years ago, Dorman was a state champion 8 out of 9 years in basketball along those lines, and they're still producing that quality of team year in and year out. The competition just gets tougher and tougher. But Riverside's always going to be competing for state. Burns, Coach Fowler does an incredible job up there. They're always going to be in the mix. They're state runner-ups 2 years ago. Spartanburg looks really good this year. Eastside has massively improved this year under Coach Jamar Armstrong. They look like a great team. I'll be there tonight to see them play Riverside. And I'm sure Wade Hampton's scrappy, Gaffney's scrappy. It really is. You cannot take a night off in this region. And I think every single coach in the region will tell you that you can't fall asleep at the wheel, can't go into any region game just assuming you're going to come out with a win, because you will get got by some of the quality teams that are in this region.
Trey, get back to the high school stuff in just a second. I'm going to take an off ramp, though, because I know tomorrow is a big day. You are a diehard Carolina Panthers fan, as Diesel is. What does your gut tell you tomorrow? You've already beat the Rams once this year. It took Matthew Stafford turning the ball over a little bit, but all kidding aside, take the Carolina Panther glasses off for a second. I know you're a big fan. What's your gut telling you about tomorrow's game?
Well, everyone else's gut seems to be saying that we have no chance, which, I think you kind of like it that way, to be completely honest with you. You like going in as the underdogs, even though you did beat that same exact team at that same exact stadium just a month ago. But I think the difference the last time we played them was that, Dave Canales, even in the rain, he kind of let Bryce Young loose. He let him throw the ball around. I think we had 2 deep fourth down touchdown passes of 30-plus yards, one to Coker and one to T-Mac. And he just kind of turned Bryce loose that game. And that's something we didn't see as much of until the fourth quarter against Tampa last week. So that's going to be a key, and the bank's got to be rocking, because this is the first home playoff game that we've hosted, I think since, 2015, since that Super Bowl run. So that crowd's got to be into it. You got to get off to a fast start. And again, you got to let Bryce loose. You got nothing to lose at this point. You're playing with house money as it is. Just making the playoffs this year is a huge accomplishment, given where this franchise has been the last 7. So just, enjoy the moment and let Bryce throw that ball around and let the offense, let the offense do its thing. And I will add, don't shoot yourself in the foot like last week with the flicker at the 20-yard line, because that about made me throw my remote at the television screen when I saw that. But yeah, just be smart. Don't make self-inflicted errors. Let Bryce be Bryce. Let him do his thing.
Trey, that's funny, because when Cole and I talk about the Carolina Panthers, we're saying, why is Bryce throwing the ball so much? He's not great through the air. Why are they not running the ball with Rico Dowdle, who was phenomenal in the first half of the season? And you look at it the complete opposite way. You want Dave Canales to just let him air it out.
I do. So the biggest thing with the first time we played the Rams is that we established that run early. I think, and we even saw it in the third quarter. The run game was wearing down the Rams. I think we were getting 7-8 yards and Chuba and Rico were both kind of contributing equally that day. But the fact that we were able to establish the run, it sort of allowed Bryce. It kept the defense honest, and then it allowed Bryce to, in turn, sort of do his thing. So I think, yeah, you're right. The first the first priority is to establish that run game early, because then if that happens, that's when Bryce Young is going to be able to be at his best, and that field's going to be a little more spread out and open for him to make plays.
Trey, my last basketball question for you. You mentioned Burns and Riverside in action. You're going to be at Riverside Eastside tonight. With the teams that you cover, how do you see them finishing region play, putting your projection hat on, if you would? Because right now we're still in the thick of region, like 11 games left, a lot of region games to go. But how do you see the teams in particular that you cover kind of finishing out region play?
Yeah, so in the region in general, it's very tough to pick against Thomas Ryan and Dorman.
Yeah.
And shout out to Jaden Johnson at Dorman. He's one of my absolute favorite players to watch play that's not in our area. He's a special talent. And it's hard to pick against them, especially given that Dorman has already taken that first game against Riverside in region play. Gives them that leg up as the season goes on. But I would not be surprised to see either Riverside or Burns make a late push as the season wears on for that region title as well. I don't think Burns can afford to trip up against Dorman this coming Tuesday. I think they got to win this one. And then I think, obviously Riverside, you're going to have, I think, 3 or 4 games where Riverside, Burns, and Dorman all match up with one another. I think those are going to be the 3 teams you're looking at to really contend for that region title this year. But obviously Dorman already taken that first one against Riverside, sort of has the leg up. But I really could see it going either 3 of those directions. But again, it's hard to pick against Dorman just with their track record and what Coach Ryan's done over there, and just the fact that they've been there, they know how to win. But again, it could go either way just because this region is so competitive night in and night out, and it's a privilege to be able to see some of these teams play every single week.
Trey Stewart of Greer News Sports, right here on Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Trey, I want to get your thoughts on the newest Burns Rebel football coach with the hire now of Schuler Bentley to be the new offensive coordinator. Obviously, a lot of pedigree. The name holds a lot of weight. Talk to me about what kind of coach Schuler is.
Yeah, so I got to sit down with Schuler on Wednesday to kind of, get introduced and talk to him about what his mindset going into this was. And I think everybody knows, what his dad did and what he's capable of. But the biggest thing that jumped out at me was just kind of how excited he sounded on the phone, just to get back to where he came from. He spent the first 18 years of his life in Duncan. He was a ball boy with some of Bobby Bentley's best teams at Burns. And that's what he was telling me. It's hard to be a ball boy with some of Bobby Bentley's teams with how fast that offense would run, just because you had to be running nonstop throughout every single game. But he seems so excited to be here, and I know the Duncan community is excited to have him. I think it's going to kind of rejuvenate that very, very talented offense. A lot of really good pieces on that offense. Trey Segura, Jacoby Fuller, Chew Harris. It's going to be big, not only for the program, but I think just for the community to have one of their own back, kind of running that offense and seeing what he can do.
Trey, you're the best. Always appreciate you, man, and have a lot of fun tonight. We'll talk to you soon.
Sure will. Appreciate you guys as always.
Trey Stewart, good stuff there, good stuff. And just a reminder, Burns Spartanburg tonight right here on the Fan Upstate. Airtime 7 p.m. Tip somewhere around 7:30, just depending on the end time of the girls' game.
Yeah, we appreciate Trey's time. And if you missed the beginning of that little chat, you can find it again here in the next couple of minutes. It'll be on our website and on the free Odyssey app. Just search for Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Coming up at 4:20, so just about 40 minutes from now, we'll have on Bill Bender of The Sporting News, one of the absolute best national college football reporters. But when we come back, Cole, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the SEC not going to win a national championship for at least now the 3rd year in a row. Does it mean anything? Drawing implications? We'll talk about it right after this.
Balls in your court. Sound off now at 844-FAN-PHONE.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
The last question that I have for you, and it's really just to have it on record. Who's going to win the national championship, and is it going to be an SEC team?
It is. And by the way, if it's not, I'm leaving the country. I am so sick and tired of being harassed by Big Ten fans on our show. The Big Ten has literally done nothing. They won 2 national championships. Michigan.
Oh, beep, beep,
Ooh.
beep. We back the U-Haul truck up to Paul Feinbaum's house and get him out of here as quickly as possible. Do you think he'll actually do it, Cole?
No, he really said that though.
He did.
Oh
That was,
my gosh, not
that was
AI.
Back in August. It was on August
Wow.
9th. So
That's
Paul
wild.
is tired of the Big Ten fans in his DMs telling him he's an idiot. 'Cause we know Paul needs, mouth breathers missing a couple of teeth from the state of Alabama to tell him he's great.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's like, man, I can't do radio anymore.
You know what's interesting, Diesel? Number one, I think as time goes on and things change, you have to be willing to change your thoughts and opinions. And I am on the SEC. There's no doubt. Like, I'm not Mr. SEC Homer, but I'm definitely willing to say that the SEC is not what it once was. I still think, though, and tell me if you disagree with me on this, Diesel, I still believe that this is where I am on the SEC. And you and I talked about this yesterday with a caller, and I forget who it was that called into the show. But I still think the SEC is the deepest conference we have with a lot of really good teams. However, I think what the Big Ten has shown us is that the Big Ten has the best teams in college football. The Big Ten's best teams, Diesel? Like, what I mean is, if that doesn't make sense, the Big Ten's best teams, Ohio State, Indiana, Michigan, I think that what we've seen over the past few years proves that their best teams are better than any other conference's best teams, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the Big Ten has done a phenomenal job over the past, 5-6 seasons at hiring the best of the best up-and-coming coaches. It's, things are a pendulum. As the SEC had Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and other elite coaches in that conference, well, now the best of the best jobs can't go out and hire new people because they're already staffed with elite head coaches. So other conferences respond by throwing out massive sums of money to get the newest crop of the best up and coming coaches. And I think we're just kind of seeing that pendulum swing back and forth. Obviously, that's not how people on the internet operate.
Right.
They want to be told that they are the best, that nobody can even touch them, that it's not even a conversation. People have to deal in not even absolutes, Cole, but like abstract, ridiculous absolutes. And that's where we are. That's the way people talk on social media. But the fact of the matter is, this will be year 3 in a row that an SEC team doesn't win it.
Yeah.
And as of right now, just based on the number of teams that are still left in this thing, the Big Ten has a mathematical advantage in getting there and winning the national championship. So I think the SEC is dealing with a lot of erosion from the inside. Their best depth guys are moving from SEC schools to other SEC schools, or they're moving from SEC schools to Big Ten schools. And so it's kind of evening things out. And it's funny, this is not the way that SEC fans and athletic directors and boosters thought this was going to go, but it's maybe the best, healthiest thing for the sport.
Well, it's not the only show in town anymore, right? Like, the SEC used to be the only show in town. And guess what? I know you see these crazy posts and things, Diesel, on Facebook and all over the internet, but I'm starting to believe it to be more and more true. I am. Money runs the sport, right? Like, that is a fact. Money now runs college football. You can't deny that. So if you take that fact that money now runs the sport and factor in what you just said, which is true, that there's so many new bloods, Miami's playing for national championship, Indiana's the best team since sliced bread, right? It would lead you to believe that the money being dispersed in a more even way is helping these teams. There's just no coincidence that Vandy is good now that you can start paying players. I'm sorry, there's just not. Like, Vandy used to be horrible. I mean, horrible. I think we've forgotten how bad they used to be. So, no, I don't have a problem with it either. I agree with you. I like the fact that there are new teams. I like the fact that we're going to watch Indiana and Oregon tonight. By the way, play in what, Atlanta? Is that right? I believe right here in our backyard. And I love the fact that Miami and Ole Miss played last night. We're not watching Alabama and Clemson again. We're not watching Alabama, Georgia. So, it all goes back to money for me. And now that you can have all of these different schools, I still have one thing to say, though. I still think there's one state in this country that I guess I would say, in a sense, has dropped the ball a little bit, Diesel. Texas should be winning national I don't mean the university. The state of Texas, with all of that money, they should be they don't have a team in the Final Four. Am I right on that? No, they don't. That's to me.
They did have two teams in the Final 12.
Texas Tech.
12, yeah.
Yep.
With Tech and A&M.
And A&M, yeah.
So, they were there.
They're there.
In the conversation.
Sure.
They were shown to be lacking ultimately. But, hey, I'm not good at math here. 1/6. What is that, like 17%? Having 17, this one state having 17%.
No, that's true.
And having Texas be right there on the outside edge as well. So, I think this – I don't know that you can look at a snapshot and say, well, the state of Texas should be doing more than what they're doing because they're at least there. I do find it fun, though, Cole, that how long has SEC football existed? Like 94 years?
Mm-hmm.
All the culture built in 94 years has been turned on its head in 3.
Yeah.
Because of money.
And Tyler from the Berg gets in on the Joy Law Firm text line. He says, where's the ACC love now that Miami's in the championship? It definitely matters. Like, Miami is such a weird story, and I don't mean that in like a disrespectful way, but they lost to 2 unranked teams. And Diesel, I'll just be quite frank with you. When the season ended, with them having lost to 2 unranked teams, I did not think Miami was going to be playing in the national championship. I didn't. Sure. But guess what? They have proven that if you do get hot and play good at the right time, like you do in college basketball, you can do a similar feat in college football. They're doing that.
I think you have to look at the last couple weeks of the season, the college football playoff. You have to look at it as almost a little bit of an algorithm, right? I mean, just being in the 12-team playoff, you get a little bit of credit for as a conference, and the number of teams you have in, you get a little bit of credit for that. And then winning a game and advancing, you get a little bit more credit for that. And then winning a national championship, you get the most credit for that. Almost like 3 points for winning a title, 2 points for winning a game, and 1 point for just getting a team in there in the first place. So you can't look at it all based on who wins the national championship, because clearly if Miami wins the national championship, we're not saying that the ACC is the best conference. It just means that Miami was an elite team in a poor conference, and when the time came on the field, they settled it and they won the games. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
we're going to get to our official predictions for the game tonight coming up at 5:22 on the show. We also have Bill Bender coming up here shortly of These Sporting News and Audio Blitz. But next, let's take the gridiron, keep it the same, and swap from the college landscape, Diesel, to the NFL. A huge wild card weekend approaching. Our Carolina Panthers, and that's right, I said our. They're local, right? They're the local team. They're playing in the playoffs in football. That matters. We'll talk about it next.
sports talk from start to finish
You're going wire to wire
with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Well, what a big weekend it is in the National Football League. We have spent the entire first hour of the show, pretty much the entire first hour, talking football and college football. And we'll talk a lot more college football with Bill Bender of The Sporting News coming up in about 15 minutes on the show, 20 minutes. And we love Bill Bender. But Diesel, it's a big, big weekend in the National Football League, NFL wildcard weekend. And let's get some picks in. 5:20. You and I are going to make picks of tonight's game, our official score prediction for Oregon, Indiana, coming up at 5:20. But I'm going to tell you, I am torn, and I mean very, very torn on some of these predictions in the NFL because I think there's going to be some really good games this weekend, and we're going to be in for a treat, I believe. And it all starts tomorrow at 4:30. By the way, according to some local meteorologist, Diesel, there are some storms expected to pass through tomorrow afternoon in the Charlotte area. So Rams-Panthers, it's a 10.5-point spread. If I told you, Diesel, Carolina Panther fan, resident Panther fan on the show, that you might get some aid with some weather, would that help you? Would that help your confidence? Come on.
No, it would not, unless you're trying to tell me that Rico Dowdle is a little slipperier than he was before.
It's hard to
And
tackle.
Chuba Hubbard is a little slipperier than he was before, but the way this Carolina Panthers offense has been going and the way Dave Canales has been calling things, he's been going more and more and more pass heavy. When you got good running backs, you got to have running backs to protect the ball in adverse conditions. And if you don't have that, or if you don't have those kind of playmakers that you can trust and that you do trust and you go to regularly, then you become one-dimensional in weather like that, and you're easy to shut down.
Yeah, I think at this point, you've got to just kind of hope for wackiness, right? I'm not saying like you have no hope. I'm not saying you have no chance to win this game, but it is a Rams team that it's hard to beat a team twice. It's hard to beat a good team twice, and Carolina Panthers, man, like they're going to have their work cut out for them. So I don't know. Here's where I am. You talked about it a couple of days ago on this game. The Rams are a really good football team. They did not play their best against Carolina the last time. Are we confident that Carolina will be able to knock this really good team off twice? I'm not super confident. I will say, Diesel, they're going to need some help. And I joked about the weather. Yeah. I still think you have to go into this game thinking like, I know this sounds crazy, Diesel, but guess what? If you're Carolina, you've got to turn Los Angeles over. If you want a shot to win this game, you've got to go into this game tomorrow and turn them over and figure out a way to create turnovers. Hey, if you told me tomorrow Carolina is able to, in some nasty weather, turn them over again, maybe, just maybe, they have a shot. Does that happen? I think that's the biggest question mark for me, Diesel. How many turnovers is that Rams team going to have?
Well, it took 3 to beat them close a few weeks ago.
Good point, yeah.
Are we – I'm certainly not expecting another 3-turnover game. Then again, like you said, the weather gets weird. It's not going to be like cold, so I don't think we're going to be dealing with like cold, stiff fingers, not really being able to grip the ball very well.
It's going to be warm, right?
Wet footballs. So, yeah, it's in my mind, what's the minimum number of turnovers the Carolina Panthers need to be able to force to win this football game? I think they got to force 2, and that's hard to do.
You know what? I think I'm with you on that. If you told me they forced 1, but they also committed 1, then, that kind of evens out. So it doesn't really do a lot. I'm with you there. I think you've got to force 2. I think if you can get a ball to pop out, right, and force a fumble, and then maybe get one from Stafford, who, look, this is where I am on Stafford. He's a veteran quarterback in the NFL. He's seen more football than anybody on that field tomorrow. So he knows where to get the ball. He knows the right spots. But I also think when you're going up when you're going up against a guy like Stafford, who is up there in age, I think you just have to go by the approach of, hey, we've got to hit him. We've got to hit him in the mouth. And you know what, Diesel? Even smart quarterbacks, when they're hit in the mouth, when you hit them right in the mouth and you try to go at them and bring pressure, even if they're the Peyton Manning of Peyton Mannings, they still sometimes are prone to turning the ball over. I want to see Carolina tomorrow aggressive defensively.
Yeah, maybe the play is to drive around Charlotte, buy up all the Centrum Silver that you can, and make sure that Matt Stafford doesn't get his vitamins before the game starts. 46 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on the season. He's the 4th best quarterback in the league when you look at QBR. You know, that it's crazy to think that he committed a quarter of his interceptions this season in one game against the Carolina Panthers a few months ago. It's just
that's nuts,
not gonna
man.
happen again. So, you know, you're right. It's got to be a +2 in the turnover game to get him. Now, looking on the other side of the football, if Bryce Young gets a little interception happen, if he throws his pick, which he is good for a pick every single game. So you can basically chalk it up that it's going to happen. Now they got to pick Matt Stafford off twice, and they got to get another turnover on the ground or something like that. That's a tall order for this team. I'm not saying it's impossible. And at this point, maybe, you know, the extra vibes of Cam Newton coming in and hitting that drum before the game starts, which there's some great audio. Some of it's not the most audible from David Newton. He was inside the locker room talking to some of these guys. They're like geeked. They are losing their minds over the fact that Cam Newton is going to be there banging that drum. So I don't think there's going to be any lack of motivation in the Panthers locker room.
I don't think so. You got to come out and you got to play, man. Like we talked about this yesterday, you beat the team already, right? You've beat them once this year. You know, you're a professional. You're 20-something, you're 30-something years old. You come into this game tomorrow thinking, we've already beat this team once. I don't care if we're 10.5-point dogs. I don't care if nobody's giving us a shot. We know we can beat them. We did it. Did he have 2 turnovers? Yeah, but guess who turned him over? We did. You're right. You've got to go in confident. You've got to go in thinking that you can do it, and you're at home. What a better opportunity. Bryce Young, you hit the nail on the head. Turn the ball over. I think that's a wrap. But if he can limit the turnovers tomorrow, I think the Panthers have a shot. Let's get an official pick on this one before we move on to the 8 o'clock game. Rams-Panthers. Diesel, you're the resident Panther, so you go first. Who do you like in this one?
I like the Rams to win this game. Unfortunately, I'm picking against my own team here. I'm saying Rams 28.
Ooh.
Panthers 28. God, I'm not willing to go 28-10. That's too far.
18 points.
28-14.
Okay.
17. I'll go with 14.
2 touchdowns, something like that.
Yep.
The spread's 10.5. I think, like, I know this sounds crazy. I think Carolina could win the game. I think a lot has to go right, though. And that's where I am. Am I willing to bank and bet on that a lot's going to go right again tomorrow? Here's how I see it playing out. I think I think some things do go right at first. Diesel in the first half. I think a couple of things do go right. I think the Panthers are able to weather the storm of the first half. But ultimately, I do think that Rams team comes alive in the second half. And I'm just going to side with Vegas on this one. Sometimes Vegas hits these things right on the head. I'm going to go Rams by 10. I think sometimes you just trust Vegas, and I'm picking the Rams by 10 in this one. So sorry, Carolina, but Diesel and I both going Rams. 8 o'clock tomorrow night on Prime Video, Diesel. I cannot wait for this one. Packers, Bears, Green Bay at Soldier Field in Chicago. First-year head coach has his team in the playoffs. They're 11-6. A 1.5-point favorite are the Green Bay Packers. I cannot wait for this one. Should be a lot of fun. The Bears and the Packers have split this season. They both won one, both lost one. Do you believe in Ben Johnson enough? Do you believe in Caleb Williams enough, Diesel, to pick them in the playoffs in their first year of the new head coach?
Oh, I think there's some magic there, man. I'm willing to go that way.
You are?
I'm willing to pick them. And by the way, you mentioned there at the tail end of that last conversation about the Panthers, it's hard to beat the same team twice in the same year. Cole, I looked this up earlier just on a hunch that we might talk about this, especially more where it pertains to the rematch of Oregon versus Indiana.
Sure.
It's like 53 or 54% of the time teams win both matchups in a season. In the NFL, it's a lot higher than that.
Really?
It's a lot higher than that. So the percentage is significant in the NFL. So maybe that old adage doesn't hold the same amount of weight that it used to, but it is still true. it's hard to beat a team twice in the same season. But in college, it's basically 50-50. In the NFL, it seems as if it's just a little bit easier to sweep teams when you play them twice in the same season. I just think this Ben Johnson-led team has something special. And again, Caleb Williams is taking a big step. I like him in this game to get it done against the Packers.
Shout out to Gordon, though, for bringing me a water, by the way. I'm at Spartanburg High School, for those that are curious. Where's Cole at today? He looks like he's in a different room than Diesel. I am. Burns basketball tonight against Spartanburg. I'm with you. I like Ben Johnson a lot. I'm impressed with what he's done, Diesel. Here's a fun fact that Tolo sent me on Twitter. Fun fact number 1, in evening games, the Green Bay Packers are 15-4 versus the Bears since the year 2000. Fun fact number 2, when Jordan Love plays a full game versus the Bears, he's 4-0 in his career versus or as a starter. So those are 2 really interesting fun facts. Fun fact number 3, Josh Jacobs is averaging over 5 yards per catch when he's in the playoffs. With that being said, I'm going to go opposite of you. I'm with you all week, Diesel. I've gone Chicago all freaking week, but I'm going to Green Bay. Give me the Packers tomorrow night to get the win at Soldier Field. I think that's going to be a really, really good football team.
I'm going to go with again. I'm going with the Bears.
I like it.
I think Caleb Williams is just on another level this year.
He's good,
As
man.
A young quarterback compared to Jordan Love. He's just a little better across the board. And I'm not saying there's going to be a blowout. What's the spread on this game?
1.5
in favor of the Packers.
Yeah,
I could see this being a single score football game. I'm going to go ahead and call it.
Yeah, there's no
It's gonna
doubt.
be a single score game. But Caleb Williams just statistically a little better than Jordan Love.
Yeah.
The running back there, Swift for the Bears, DeAndre Swift, just a little bit better than his counterpart, Jacobs, over for the Packers. So just a little better at every group, and that's going to be some separation. Now, if things go awry and you get interceptions and fumbles in that cold weather, all bets are off.
No, you're right on that. Let's go to Sunday. 3 games on Sunday, Diesel, starting at 1 o'clock with the Buffalo Bills, the Jacksonville Jaguars. This game scares the heck out of me. I'm pulling for Jacksonville, pulling for the local guy in Trevor Lawrence. They're 13-4. Look, I think Jacksonville's a better team. I do. I think they're the more complete team. But Josh Allen scares me. Josh Allen does. He's one of the best, if not the best players in the NFL, maybe the best player in the playoffs, Diesel. I so bad want to pick Jacksonville. Do I trust Liam Cohen and Trevor in their first year together to win a playoff game? I kind of have some hesitancy. That's where I am. I'm going Buffalo. I'm sorry, but I'm going Buffalo. Josh Allen, he's experienced. Josh Allen's not going to lose in the first round of the playoffs, right?
Well, you wouldn't think so. I mean, we have this conversation all the time about Josh Allen, and I heard it yesterday on I don't remember which show we were listening to or which segment we caught. People keep putting this crown on Josh Allen's head as the best quarterback in the NFL, and I think he's the most consistent, playing at a high level right now. Does that make him the absolute best? I don't know. Smarter minds than I, they can pick apart what Josh Allen can do on the field. They would have answers to that question. I think the experience, though, being in this situation carries a lot of weight.
No, me too, man.
Liam Cohen can make a mistake. Trevor Lawrence could, kind of have a brain fart, revert to the Trevor Lawrence of 4 or 5 years ago. If even for a series, it costs them the game.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope you're wrong. I really do. I want to see Trevor, reach that next level, unlock that next level of potential in the NFL, because Trevor Lawrence has been sensational this season. He's had such a good year. Liam Cohen, I didn't think that was going to be a good hire, to be quite frank, but it has been. Yeah, even though it was kind of rough to start, right? I'm going Bills. You're going Bills. Buffalo's favored by 1.5. 4:30 on Sunday. Niners, Eagles. This one's going to be fun. Philadelphia favored by 6.5. 49ers coming off of a game on Saturday, Diesel, where they did not score a touchdown against a really good Seattle Seahawks team. Again, a 6-point favorite are the Eagles at home. The Eagles have been weird this season, right? Some games they've looked really good. Some games they haven't. The Niners have been way better than we thought they would be, especially with all the injuries. I'm kind of torn on this one, and I don't like picking against or I don't like picking Philadelphia in any sport. Phillies, Sixers, Flyers, Eagles, it doesn't matter. I hate Philadelphia. But I'm picking the Eagles tomorrow. I think the Eagles are a better team than San Francisco. I think their defense shows up tomorrow. That's a tough place to win in the playoffs, Diesel. That's a really tough place to win in the postseason. Give me Jalen Hurts. Am I wrong there?
I don't think you're wrong. The 49ers are really good. They were putting up a lot of points for a lot of weeks until last week when they only were able to muster a field goal against the Seahawks. Maybe they shut things down. Maybe they rested some guys. I don't know. I don't like when any team kind of gets out of that rhythm of trying to be really good. Sometimes it can be a little harder to re-rev that engine, so to speak. So for that reason, I'm going to say that the 49ers kind of get out of the gate a little bit slow against the Eagles, and that's going to be just enough. Now, also consider the fact that the Eagles have won a lot of games close, right? Not including the Vegas game, because Vegas sucks. There's a reason why they're the number one pick. But you look at the last couple of weeks, the last 4 or 5 weeks, they've been in close game after close game after close game. If this thing gets down into, the last 2 minutes of the game, a 2-minute drive, I would trust the Eagles to go get it more than I would trust the 49ers to defend it, and vice versa. I would trust the Eagles to defend a 49ers late drive more than I would trust the 49ers to go get it.
No, I'm with you on that. 2 more, 1 more on Sunday, 8 o'clock NBC Sunday night. Chargers, Patriots, 11-6. Chargers, 14-3. Patriots. I think this is the easiest bet. I think this is the easiest pick of the week, Diesel. New England at home is favored by 3.5, and I think they win, and I think they cover the 3.5. I think New England wins by a touchdown or more. This New England team is so good. The Chargers have kind of been up and down. I know they won 11 games, but I'm not completely sold on that football team. Jacksonville torched them earlier in the season. I think the Patriots win and cover on Sunday night.
Yeah, changing of the guard here. Drake May could be stepping up and being that next elite young quarterback, that the next Josh Allen or whatever you want to call it. I like this team a lot.
They're good, man.
If we can make it happen, Cole, can we get Madcraft and Grayson Mann on the phone together?
Oh God,
let them yell it out.
No, because
it's too late to make it happen.
Madcraft would be. I mean, I just pray to God the Chargers don't make the Super Bowl. We already have to deal with Madcraft once with Miami.
I don't know what that's like. To experience that level of joy, to have your team in a national championship game, and if the Chargers go on a run, that would be too much. That's not fair.
There's no way. Last one for you before we run off to a break and are joined by Bill Bender. Monday Night Football playoffs. A 3-point favorite are the Houston Texans on the road at Pittsburgh. Aaron Rodgers hosting a Houston defense, Diesel, that flat gets after the quarterback. The best defensive line in the National Football League, going against a slow quarterback who's up there in age. No offense to Aaron Rodgers, but this will be the last game Aaron Rodgers ever plays in the NFL, and I'm telling you, it's not going to be pretty. I don't think Houston's going to let up. I think they're going to come after Aaron Rodgers from snap one to the end of the game, and I think Houston wins, and I think Houston covers the 3 points, just like New England. Houston is a really, really good defense, and defense still wins in the NFL.
Yeah, I want to see – I would like to see the Steelers win this game just because it increases the likelihood that Aaron Rodgers says, okay, enough is enough. I won a playoff game in my last year. I can retire and feel good about myself. God, it just scares me a little bit to think, man, he could feel like there was some unfinished business, like there was a little left in the tank. I agree. Houston's defense is just too good.
Yeah.
And they're going to get after him. They're going to get after him a lot. They're going to hurt him, unfortunately. Aaron Rodgers would have to be on roller skates out there to keep away from this Texans defense.
No doubt. All right, NFL wildcard weekend. Let's bring it home with the Carolina Panthers win tomorrow. By the way, you can listen to that game on our sister station, Big Buck Country 101.1. That's right. The all new Big Buck Country. And they are the home of the Carolina Panthers, our sister station just down the hall.
You got to enunciate that very carefully, Cole. Big Buck
Buck,
Country.
not Buck.
Buck.
Not Buck.
Not Buck Country.
Yeah,
Buck
that's
Country.
a good point.
What's
Good
the
point.
biggest buck you've ever got?
Nothing to brag about. 8 point probably. I've never killed like a 120, 130 class deer. I'd like to. I was actually looking at some. I'd like to go to Texas. I want to go to Texas and shoot one of those big bucks out there. That's my.
You need to cozy up to Steve Senecroppy. He goes out west and hunts big game all the time.
Yeah, well, Steve Senecroppy doesn't cozy up to on-air talent. There's a big difference there. I mean, we're down here. He's up there. There's a big space there.
I'm just saying. There's a path to get this one done. Cole, let's go right to the expert in the very next segment. We're going to talk to Bill Bender of The Sporting News. We normally bring him on Wednesdays during football season. He is gracious enough to join us on a Friday, man. There's so much to talk about with Bill. Not only just the other game that's going to be played tonight in the national championship game, but everything else going on in college football. We'll talk to Bill next on the Fan Up Station.
That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole, Bryson, and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
It's a sad thought to think, Cole, that we only have 2 college football games left in this season, but we're at the penultimate college football games left in the season. One more semifinal game tonight, and then the national championship game. Whoever wins tonight matches up against Miami. To talk about everything college football related, we go to the phone lines, bring on Bill Bender of The Sporting News. Bill, we're going to get deep into the weeds on last night's Miami Ole Miss game, but let's start with that final play. Number one, what did you see? And number two, should there be any attention paid to quote unquote situational officiating, i.e. that idea that refs should swallow their whistles in certain situations and be maybe a little more aggressive with it in others?
I mean, if it's pass interference, you should call it. In live action, I kind of, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, oh, no flag, that's fine. But as you look at that play, I mean, clearly there's some holding going on there. And, you know, Miami fans aren't going to hear it because they, you know, many years ago there was a national championship game that was decided on a late flag. So, to me, you got to call it. You got to call it. Now, in that situation, everybody's going to say you don't call pass interference on. It's like not calling a foul on game point, but if there's a foul, it's a foul.
Yeah, I'm with you. And you also bring up a good point, Bill. And I think one thing that we as fans do forget is it's very easy for us on a replay to go back and say, yes, it was PI. But in the moment, you know, the referees have to call it in the moment. They can't go back. So I'm with you there. How much do you make of Carson Beck last night? I thought the offensive line was incredible down the stretch. Bill, especially on that game-winning drive. But I left that game kind of thinking, man, I just did not think enough of Carson Beck all season long. Maybe those 2 losses to unranked teams were reasons why. But I left last night's game with a lot of admiration for Carson Beck. You?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, 6-year player, a lot of experience. You look at his win-loss record as a starter; it's very good. I think he's up to, I want to say, like something like 37-5 or something like that. It's a very good win-loss record, and it plays when they had to. You know, Miami could have won that game by a lot more. So they had self-destructed a little bit in the second half with penalties, dropped 4 interceptions. Got the job done, and he got the job done in the clutch. He's a very smart quarterback. He's played awesome in the playoffs. He had the 1 interception last night. Comes off a pass. I think his turnover-free play and the fact that Miami ran the ball 51 times were huge keys to this victory.
Bill, initial reaction, taking the level of talent out of it. What was the better football game, last night's game or the FCS National Championship? Because both were elite.
And they're great games. They're highly entertaining. I'll take the Miami Ole Miss game, even though both were great. High level play, high energy, good for the semifinal. It has given, as I wrote last night, a little bit of a March Madness feel to the whole thing, and that's where we're at. You know, you have to. There are some sacrifices to that. The regular season is a little bit different now, and some would argue it's better. Some would argue not as much. I'm probably right in the middle. You know, and that's where we're at in college football.
No, that's an interesting point. I was going to actually get to that, Bill. Just FYI, we are losing you, going in and out just a little bit. But I'm with you. I'm glad you brought that up on the feel that it has, because while the regular season might not matter quite as much because more teams do get in, do you think college football fans would rather have a regular season where every game matters, or what they're getting now, or a team like Ole Miss and a team like Miami can find a navigable path into the national championship?
It depends on what kind of college football fan you are. You know, I would say getting more teams participating in this round is good. And, we're getting to tell new stories. Last year, it was stories like Ashton Jeanty and Arizona State. And this year, obviously, the continuation of what Kirk Cignetti's done. I mean, that's the most unlikely story of all, that this program that, the second now, they had the past week for us to have the second worst winning percentage of any Power 4 conference team, and they're a favorite tonight. And they'd be a favorite against Miami if they win. So, I mean, you have to balance that with, do you like seeing? I always liked the national title games where it was 1 versus 2, and it was legendary games like Texas USC. You didn't get them every year, but I think the BCS and the 14 playoff produce those more often than not.
Talking to Bill Bender of The Sporting News. Bill, I'm going to try this. I'm going to call you right back and see if we can get a little bit of a cleaner connection. So I'm going to drop you here for a split second. We'll be calling you back here in less than 15.
And Cole's going to sing until we get Bill Bender. All right, ready? 3. Oh, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to sing. Don't worry, Tolos. I know you all rushed to turn your radio to a different channel, but it would have been the best thing you heard today. Bill Bender's the best. He is in Ohio. There's fog in the air. So I'm going to that's what I'm going to attribute the bad connection to, is a very foggy day here in the upstate. And, that makes sense, right? The phone call has to travel through fog to get up to Ohio, and Ohio's a long way away, so that's what we're going to attribute it to. But we're going to try to get Bill Bender one more time. We got him, Diesel?
Yeah, we got Bill Bender back on the show. Bill Bender of The Sporting News. He joins us all throughout football season. Bill, inevitably, we're already having the conversation, and I've seen it all over SportsCenter and ESPN today about, is a 10 seed making it to the national championship game proof that teams at the bottom end of whatever size playoff we have a chance to go and win it all. So clearly that's a reason why we should expand more. What do you think in initial thoughts on that so far?
It depends on what you want. If you want the NCAA tournament feel to the college football playoff, then it's fine. Miami was 10 seed. They would have been the equivalent to a bubble team. I was arguing with my editor last night about that and what that translates to in basketball terms. And, I said, no, only one number 10 seed ever made the Final Four. In the extended bracket era, it was Syracuse. I was at the game when they beat Virginia. Or do you like that 1 versus 2 in regular season? There is no doubt. Like, the thing that doesn't get mentioned when we talk about that is it does impact the regular season in a different way. The regular season in college football is more like the NFL now. And what I don't want to see happen, which you see as a leading complaint, is the ones out there that are saying, well, there's a lot of college basketball fans that say the only thing that matters is the last month of the season. I hope that doesn't happen to college football.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on that. I really do. I love the games during the season having weight, having meaning, and I think I'm with you on that. Where do you think Carson Beck will go in terms of, like, this guy was at Georgia, good quarterback, didn't end well, transferred to Miami. There were a lot of doubters, some skepticism, Bill, when it comes to Carson Beck, but ultimately he's got his Miami Hurricanes playing for a national championship. I guess the way I word this question to you is, how will we as college football fans remember Carson Beck?
A guy that has taken this path and run with it. There's a lot of transfer quarterbacks out there, and he's obviously got injured last year, and that's part of the story. Had a very successful career at Georgia with only 3 losses at Georgia, only 5 losses total. So for him to get Miami to this point is pretty remarkable, and I think he's done it with the turnover-free play. It's I believe 2 interceptions since the SMU loss. Playing very well in this playoffs, playing very smart, and I think what we'll remember about Carson Beck is the way he crossed the goal line on that run.
Yeah.
Bill, to kind of tweak that old adage, you go on a date with 0% of the women that you don't ask out. And it feels like Trinidad Chambliss had to take the shot of maybe getting another year of eligibility. The news came down a couple of hours ago that his petition for another season was denied. He plans to appeal. How fast can they turn around an appeal in this situation? And because obviously that affects Ole Miss and whether or not they should go get a guy out of the transfer portal.
Yeah, they're going to have to work fast. And I think ultimately he'll probably end up in the NFL draft. And I'd be okay with that if I'm him, because I've said through this entire process, I like him just as much as Mendoza and Dante Moore, if not more. Some of the throws he makes, some of the reads he makes, his improv, the heater he just went on in the playoff. It is an incredible story, too, to come from Ferris State to do that. So while there's some disappointment in that waiver, and I mean, that's the choice. What if you fight this and you lose versus what if you fight? And it doesn't matter what we think or what the public support is. The NCAA, when they rule it, typically that's it. Right. So we'll see what happens. But I like him at the next level. I really do. I think he'll have a successful career. And what a brilliant fourth quarter he had last night, just like he did against Georgia.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Who do you like tonight, Bill? I mean, a big one, man. Indiana, Oregon. You mentioned Mendoza. Last night lived up to the hype, especially in that fourth quarter. Do you see tonight's game being as entertaining? And what's your gut tell you about tonight's game?
I think it's going to be a tricky rematch. With rematches we've seen, whether it was Alabama, Georgia, or Ole Miss, Georgia, or, there have been some other ones along the way here. They're tough. It's tough to win that second one, right? So how Dan Lanning adjusts to what Indiana did in that first meeting, they are really short at running back, though. Whittington's questionable. They won't have Davison, who had the clavicle injury. They pulled some defensive guys over to that side of the ball. If Indiana runs on you, you're done. So they're going to have to stop the run, and they did that first meeting. This could be a very defensive game. I got it at 28-21 Indiana, which would make, like I said, I mean, if that's what you like, and I love the allure of a Indiana-Miami national championship game down in Miami. And it sounds like from what I'm reading on social today, sounds like this is going to be an overwhelmingly pro-Indiana crowd tonight in Atlanta.
Bill, how far was Washington really ready to go in this Damon Williams Jr. case? I mean, the reporting earlier this week was that it was their discretion to set essentially the buyout terms on this. He was set to make $4 million with them. If he went to LSU or wherever he might have gone, he might have been making $6 million or $7 million. So could Washington theoretically have set the number at $10 million so that no matter where he goes, Damon Williams Jr. would have had to been paying them back?
Yeah, I mean, this could have gotten a lot uglier, right? Like, had he left and then all that money, what do we do with it? And this is another reason why I believe that we need to move toward contracts and, making sure I've seen a couple stories this week about players paying buyouts. You should. If you sign an NIL deal and then you leave, that money isn't yours. So, it's a very confusing web, but this one would have been very interesting had he not gone back to Washington. And now that he has gone back to Washington, I think, some were wondering, okay, what's that going to be like in the locker room? I think the players understand the money aspect of this much like they do in the NFL. But, the fans, they're not always that understanding.
How much does this change the future of tampering? Does it make it harder to tamper? Does it make it easier to tamper? Is there no change at all?
I think it needs enforced more. I think we definitely, when we have this going on, how do you police it though? I think that's next to impossible. You're going to police every cell phone, every message, every coach, I think in the NFL, there's a set penalty for it, right? You lose draft picks, you lose capital, you lose roster spots, and those are coveted at the NFL level. Until they start doing that at the college level, I mean, a coach gets caught tampering and serves like a 2-quarter suspension. That's not a penalty. You start losing players and scholarships and roster spots. That's when that's when I think it would happen less.
Bill, my last question for you, man. DJ Lagway, Baylor. I mean, it seems kind of official. What are you hearing, and what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not, I just read from Pete Thamel. It sounds like he might have a couple more visits. So I saw that Baylor report as well. We'll see where it goes. But, I think he's one of those guys that it's going to be very interesting to see where he lands. Baylor is obviously a fit with the family tie there, and, he's a Texas native. I think he could do very well there, a place where he could maybe limit the interceptions and turnovers that haunted him at Florida a little bit. Sawyer Robertson obviously did very well there the last 2 seasons. So it would be a good fit. But if it's not there, there's still a couple others places like, he visited Florida State, Miami. You never know if they're in play. It sounds like they're going to have Levitt visit. So
Wow.
I think Levitt, Raiola, Flagway. And those were the three I was most interested to see where they would land. And I would throw Deuce Knight on top of that. If Trinidad has to go pro and isn't, it didn't sound like he was going to transfer to LSU anyway, and Levitt doesn't go there, then I think Deuce Knight could end up at LSU.
Bill, let's take what played out the end of last night's game and say tonight plays out in a very similar fashion. You got a sub 2-minute drive to go win the game and make the national championship game. Who do you trust more in that situation with the ball, Dante Moore or Fernando Mendoza? Because Indiana was in 3 one-possession games this year. Oregon was involved in 2 of them, but these teams are used to blowing other teams out.
Yeah, I think I would go. It's pretty even, man. I watched Dante Moore win at Penn State. I was at that game. It was a lot of fun. Double overtime game and the boys he played with. And then I watched Fernando Mendoza, wasn't at that one, do the same thing at Penn State. And that is a tough environment to win. So I think it's pretty even. I think I don't really give either one the advantage. I'd say it's 50-50. And I said, I'm not trying to not answer the question, but I just think both of those guys can do it, or both of those guys could make the mistake. After Fernando did it in the first meeting, Dante Moore threw a couple interceptions late. So I guess if you're pressing me for an answer, I'd take Fernando because I've seen him do it a couple of times, but it's pretty even. And that's why I think this game's going to be very even. Maybe not quite as entertaining from a point scoring standpoint as last night, but it's going to be riveting to watch just the same.
Bill, you're the best. Enjoy tonight's game. As always, we are very much appreciative of your time. We'll talk to you soon.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Absolutely. Bill Bender, the Sporting News Day. Diesel, our Daily Wires. We've got to get to them next right here on the Fan Upstate.
97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg. Always streaming wherever you are on the Odyssey app.
Upstate.
Leave your namby-pamby sports takes at the door. Call in if you're man enough.
844 Fan Phone. This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Well, it's time to get buzzed, Diesel, as we go through our daily wires.
Buzz.
It's the top stories in all of sports. Miami moving on to the national championship. In case you missed it, Hurricanes defeated Ole Miss 31-27 on Thursday. And will play. Who will they play in the national championship? We'll tell you at 5:22.
Yeah, we haven't made our picks yet.
5:22.
If
We
they
will
win
make
the
them.
title. Is that free booger sugar for everybody?
Ooh,
There's a lot of
maybe.
it in Miami, you know, a little less than there used to be.
Miami will play the winner of tonight's Indiana-Oregon game. Kickoff slated for 7:30, which means it'll kick off at
I'm going to say it goes longer than last night's.
Again?
Last night's kicked off at 7:40.
7.
7:47.
I think so.
I think it goes 7:49.
Oh dear God! You know, my buddy made a good point. Brought up a good point last night. Why can the NFL kick off every game across the country at 1:00 on the dot, but college is 19 minutes? It's so ridiculous.
Like they're still out there doing their warm-ups at kick time in the college.
It is. The other Miami, the Dolphins have fired Mike McDaniel. Ian Rappaport reported that the Lions have already contacted Mike about their vacant offensive coordinator spot. Interesting there. Todd Monken accepted the blame for why quarterback Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens regressed in his third season as the team's OC. Todd said, "I didn't coach Lamar well enough. I didn't have a good of a relationship as I could have. I didn't do the things we needed to do this year to win enough games to give ourselves a chance." I believe that. Diesel, I don't know if I would ever admit that publicly.
No, but look, I mean, you don't want to be the coordinator that's blaming players because
I know
you lose the locker room.
Yeah.
And hey, how often do we talk like we want coaches to take the ultimate responsibility? You know,
it's just wild.
We don't want Kirby Smart to be like, it's Ford's fault that my players are out there, you know, running red lights and speeding all off season. He goes, we want him to say it's my fault because I'm not teaching them the consequences of this enough. He goes, if you want to say we talk about it all the time and they still do it anyway, well, it is what it is. But I want the buck to stop with the coach.
No doubt. I'm with you. How about some local news in these very next two daily wires regarding Belton Honeypath High School? They got into a scuffle post-game in the state championship with Oceanside. South Carolina High School League has come down with a financial penalty to the athletic department at BHP here in the upstate. And they also ruled that all playoff games next year must be played at their opponent's school, not at the home field. So a little bit of punishment for Belton Honeypath. Also locally, Diesel in its 41st year celebrating the nation's best high school athletes. This is incredible. Gatorade today announced that Reese Sugart of Dorman High School is the 2025 Gatorade South Carolina Volleyball Player of the Year. It's the top honor in all of high school sports, celebrating the nation's best high school athlete. So congratulations to Reese. She's awesome. She's committed to Auburn. We had her on the scramble back during early December. So congratulations to Dorman High School and Reese Sugart. Incredible honor. Yeah.
That's huge. Cole, before we move on from this, go back to that BHP story and not having home field advantage in the playoffs. Now, obviously, we don't know what the team is going to look like next year.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of variables here, but just how crucial is home field advantage in the playoffs?
I think it matters. I don't think it's an end-all, be-all. A good team still is going to, find a way to win most of the time, Diesel. I think it matters, though. And to your point, they're still without a head coach. Belton Honeypath moved on from Russell Blackston a couple of weeks ago, and I think a lot of that had to do with that scuffle post-game. So, to your point, we don't know what this team will look like, but that will be interesting. Quarterback Demon Williams is returning to play at Washington in 2026. He announced on Instagram Thursday night. It was a frantic 48 hours, which he was intending to transfer just after signing a contract. Nobody really knew what was going on there, so that looks to be put to rest. American snowboarding star Chloe Kim said Thursday that she took the slightest fall in training and dislocated her shoulder, threatening her chance to win a third straight gold medal at next month's Winter Olympics in Italy. Diesel, you got to teach her how to snowboard. Right?
I don't know, man. I can't get off. Apparently, I can't get off the chair lift without
That,
falling.
okay, that's true. That's true.
The insanity of I just dislocated my shoulder.
Yeah.
I want to rehab and get back out there as soon as I possibly
That's
can.
right.
Okay, if it's you or if it's me, and we're doing a sport and we have a significant injury like that, there's a good chance we never pick that thing back up again.
No.
They just go at it. I mean, to them, falls are nothing. I know you condition yourself, but I mean, come on. When you're on a half pipe and you're flying 15, 16 feet in the air, and then you're coming down on your shoulders, your knees, your hips, that to me says, I'm not meant to do this. I'm out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. To reminder, the Final Upset Picks Challenge standings are posted on the Fan Upstate on Twitter. Tomorrow night in ACC play, Clemson facing Notre Dame. That's a big one. SMU at Duke, UNC hosting Wake Forest. How about this? Last night, former Ole Miss quarterback Jackson Dart was caught on camera mentioning John Harbaugh or Kevin Stefanski as potential candidates for the New York Giants. No surprise there. Both have been linked to the job. Kevin Stefanski interviewed today in Baltimore, by the way. Yesterday was a good day to have Hurricanes as a mascot. Carolina scored 4 straight goals to beat the Anaheim Ducks at home 5-2. Burns Rebels, running Rebels, in action tonight versus the Spartanburg Vikings. Huge region game. I'll have the pregame show for you at 7, call at 7:30-ish. And the NCAA denied Trinidad Chambliss a 6th year of eligibility. Diesel, his college career has now come to an end.
It's worth a shot.
That's right.
He would have been set to make a couple $1 million to stay in Oxford.
Yeah.
You go for it because that's more money than you're going to make in your rookie contract if you're going into the NFL. That's
correct. Last one for you. Missouri has hired former Clemson offensive coordinator Garrett Riley as an offensive assistant. So some new news there regarding a former Clemson Tiger.
So, Cole, help me out here. Maybe you know better than I do. What does an offensive assistant do for a football program? I mean, he's not the coordinator. He's not a quarterback's coach. What do you think? What do you think an assistant would do in a role like that?
I think help with game planning. Putting together a game plan throughout the week. Which, by the way, it might be really good. He might be really good at that. He might be focusing on specific position groups, Diesel. But I think game planning and practice execution is probably where Garrett Riley will be. And he might be better. I think Wes Goodwin was kind of the same way at Clemson. He wasn't great on the field, but putting together a game plan, X's and O's, maybe that's Garrett's strength, right?
Hey, not everybody is meant to be a coordinator. Not everybody is meant
That's
to be
right.
a head coach. You can thrive in a slightly lesser role, make a very good living at it, and be one of the absolute best.
No doubt.
At it.
No doubt.
So there you go. It's Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson. Those are our daily wires. On the other side of the break, Cole, I've got a lot of audio for our Tolos to hear, a lot of audio surrounding the Carolina Panthers matchup on Saturday against the Rams. Got a lot of audio from last night's game between Miami and Ole Miss. Some of the press availability audio from both Dan Lanning and the Indiana football coach Curt Cignetti. So a lot for you to hear next.
Let's go. From the fields to the courts and the gridiron to the tracks,
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish
you're going wire to wire
with Diesel and Cole Bryson.
on the Fan Upstate.
Infinity. Three receivers bunt to the left. Beck is looking that way. And still looking. Touchdown running. Carson Beck with his legs. Puts Miami on top. With a drive.
The play that ultimately won the game for the Miami Hurricanes and is sending them to the national championship game. Cole Carson Beck wide open on the left side of the field. He had green grass aplenty in front of him. So much green grass that Forrest Gump would have mowed it for free because he just likes doing it so much. How about that, man? Scoring the game-winning touchdown with 18 seconds to go on the clock. The closest to the ending of regulation since Clemson beat Alabama with 1 second to go in the 2017 national championship game. What an electric moment.
It was awesome.
For that moment.
I think it was great protection. I think Carson Beck, who I was kind of critical of early in the game, Diesel, I didn't think his timing was great. I think 2 or 3 throws during the course of that game, I thought he was off on his timing, even going back to that first drive. But when it mattered last night, he locked in that 3rd and 10. It was a 2nd and 11 the next time. And then that one, man, great protection. And just to make Matt Kraft and anybody else upset who didn't like us talking about, I got from you a new angle of the video. And here it is. If you're watching the stream, as 137 Tolos are doing, this here video, Diesel, it's about as clear as day. Left hand of 24. Where's it at?
On the collar.
And it couldn't be any more obvious.
And yoink, he pulls him to the ground.
Like, that's PI. You know, I'm sorry, but it is. I still think Miami wins. You know, sure. They were down by 4, so a field goal would have done them no good. But Diesel, I've got that on loop there. Like, you can't make that up. That is obvious pass interference. From this angle, it's not quite as clear, but sometimes you just have to admit as a fan, hey, we got away with one, and they did there.
It begs the question, why is he going down in that situation? You got a referee, the field judge is right there. I mean, he is on the corner of the end zone by the pylon where he's supposed to be. And you can also, at the very tail end of the play, you can see, who is that? The back judge, who is, you can see the top of his cap. He's standing right underneath the goalpost. He's staring right at it. And in a situation like that, look, I know that we all have our problems with officiating across all levels of sports. They always get it wrong. They never get it right. And we all also agree that I think a lot of referees are a little too whistle happy.
Sure.
But in a situation like that, I think you have to throw the flag. And then if you want to wave it off, you wave it off. But so there is a way to fix it if you got it wrong, if you threw the flag.
Right.
There is no way to fix it if you got it wrong and you didn't throw the flag.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
So you can't go back and review that and change it. If they had ultimately decided, hey, the player was already going down to the ground, it was uncatchable, whatever. Like I wouldn't have agreed, but I would have understood where they were going. I think that also means we need to have that system where the ACC is talking on the headsets with the network guys. We need to have that for all leagues.
Didn't you love that?
It's so good.
And I that feels like a year ago, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, I love hearing the behind the scenes of that.
So that was the penultimate play of the game. Hang on, let me grab this.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Here, Cole. Let's just go raw here. Caller, who is this?
This is Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Tom.
What's up?
In Somerville. What are you doing, Tom?
I'm on the way home, getting ready to watch another football game.
What are you eating tonight? What's on the menu for you?
That's why I was calling to get your guys' advice. Y'all gave me some good advice last
Ooh.
time. Last night we ended up making cheeseburgers.
Okay.
So,
can I give you mine and then Diesel can give you his? What about this? All right, here's mine. Are you on the way to the store right now?
yeah.
All right, here's mine. And then you decide who you like better. 2 things. Get you a small pack of cocktail weenies. Go barbecue sauce and jelly. Have you some cocktail weenies, right, to snack on during the game. But then get a pack of the rolls, the regular. I forget what brand they are. The orange pack rolls that are over there in the whole. Thank you, King's Hawaiian rolls. Take them off or take them out of the pack. Cut them in half. Go ham, Swiss cheese, and then some little secret sauce on top, and in the middle, and you got some good ham and cheese sliders. What about that, Tom?
Now, you said little pack of them wings. I like to eat, so I don't know what classifies.
Okay, fair enough.
But I like the sound of that. Diesel, what you got?
Well, you could get 2 little packs, and that way, if you're still hungry after the first little pack, you can open up another one.
That's all right.
But if you're satisfied, you don't have to open those. It's funny. I had cheeseburgers last night too, Tom, except I went to a restaurant down the road here from the radio station. They're not advertisers. I wish they were. Had a phenomenal cheeseburger with the folks from MTC Federal last night. But I think tonight we're being real simple. We're being lazy, and I'm stopping by to order a pizza on the way home.
It's good.
I'm
good move.
Pizza.
Well, I'm gonna go get me some of them little weenies and barbecue sauce, and then some King Hawaiian rolls.
Yes.
I'm gonna be one happy man.
Send us a picture on Twitter, Tom.
Oh, I will. I'll send you a picture.
So who wins? Who wins tonight? Indiana or Oregon?
I'm worried about Oregon's running back room. Apparently, they have had multiple guys leave, and their starter's dealing with an injury. He's not 100%. So it's a very thin room. They're going to have to find a way to run the ball to win tonight. I just don't know if they're going to have enough. Defensively, they're good, but I just think Indiana's better.
I do too.
And I wanted to give a call and give a shout out to our dear friend Mad Cat. His Canes. That was a heck of a football game last night. So, Mad Cat deserves all the kudos there. He should enjoy that moment. As a Gamecock fan, I don't know if I'll ever get to feel a moment like that. But, shout out to him. And, for his sake, I hope they get the job done.
Tom sending love from Somerville. I love it. Tom, you're the best.
Hey, Tom, are you going to go on a moratorium of chanting SEC since it's now been 3 years since they've even been in the title game?
I don't really know what moratorium means. It sounds like something to do with a funeral.
Kind of. It just means you're not going to do it.
But the SEC now, Diesel, they're still the best conference in football and basketball and baseball and women's basketball. So, it's been a little down slump. Greg Sankey, he better get his act together or he's going to get fired, as Dewey likes to say. This is solely on Greg Sankey. He's not doing a good enough job. He needs to get his act together because if he's not going to fix it, then somebody else can come in there and make sure the football starts winning again.
Wow.
There you go.
Blaming Greg Sankey. I like it,
good
Tom.
Stuff. Let's go to another caller. Let's bring on Dan B., who I think is going to tell me that I'm right.
Well, the conversation you had, or the thing you Twitter post you put up about letting in the cupcakes or whatever, however you word that. I think it's like you're almost making our point for us. Like the number 10, 11, and 12 teams should be the ones in, not the 20 and 24.
I'm lost. What are we talking about here, Dan?
So I was facetiously said, I think I said this on the air yesterday, Dan, that the teams that get the 5 and 6 slot, they should be thankful that the G5 is in the playoff because they get to face Tulane, get a little warm up. Again, this year was a weird year. We weren't supposed to get James Madison in there. It wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. But if you're Ole Miss and you get Tulane, you've had a little bit of a break, but you get a little bit of an easier opponent to kind of get your feet back under you before you get into the playoff.
Right. So when it comes to the idea of the Cinderella, that would be the JMU and the Tulane. Miami wasn't a Cinderella.
No, I know that. It's
Notre
being
Dame and or
sarcastic.
who else was it? Tennis? Who was next up? Notre
Vandy,
Dame?
I think. Notre Dame, Vandy, and who was it? BYU were in that same
BYU,
conversation.
right. So, I mean, they would have put up better fights, we think, against in those play-in games. So it just made the point that I think it made the argument for our side that the G5s don't belong in the playoffs unless they get there. If they get there, if they can make it into the top 12, hey, man, you're
Oh,
in.
come on, Dan. You know this. We're going down a path here, okay, Dan? You know full well that now that the scheduling model is changing to where these teams are all going to a 9-game conference schedule, that limits the G5's ability to even play in those games, and they're not going to impress anybody playing against other G5 competition. So you're back door closing the door at the same time. So
they're not being set up for success, but I also don't think they would get in if they did play 2 or 3 games against G or Group of 5, Group of 4, Power 4 teams. They would probably lose, and they would not make it to the top 12 anyway. So
maybe
we can argue this all day long, and we'll do it for the next 6 months or.
Well, yeah, the format's not changing. G5's getting in next year too. What'd you see on that final play, Dan?
I think the ref wasn't in the position because he was he was standing right there at the pylon, so he had the caller before and after, but he wasn't really seeing that egregiousness of it, I think. And I think the other player also had his hand on Miami's player, because if you look, Miami player tries to jump to catch the ball, and the height on him he didn't get full height.
But here's the problem, though. Everybody's talking about, Dan, real quick, you and Madcraft and other people are talking about the other player. Here's the reality. I stopped it on the stream. Number 7 right now. No other Miami player in this current view, if you're watching the show on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, has any impact on what number 24 is doing to number 1. That has nothing to do with number 24's left hand being on the collar, is my point.
Yeah, no, I don't think 7 had any impact on the play. I think number 1 and 24 both had a hold of each other, and it's a null event. But I think, to Diesel's point, you throw the flag and then you pick it up.
Review it.
Under review. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I do agree with that.
I mean, to me, you got 2 referees with a good view of it. You got the field judge on the sideline standing
right there,
right behind it. You've also got the judge standing at the field goal post. He is what's half the width of a football field. He's still a decent distance away.
I think it's his call. I think it's the guy in the end zone's call.
What if number 7 is in the way and the guy at the goalpost still can't see that number 24?
Yeah, it could be.
There. I think it's a combination of a lot of things going on there.
Could be. I mean, you could be right there. That's fair.
It's fair. Fair point. Thanks, Dan.
Later, guys.
All right. Cole, let's hear from Dan Lanning, the head football coach of the Oregon Ducks. They're going to be taking on Indiana tonight, a little conference rematch game. Here is Dan giving his praise to Curt Cignetti and the Hoosiers.
Honored to play a team like Indiana. They've obviously done an incredible job. You look at the body of work of Coach Cignetti and his crew and the way his team plays. They're playing it as good as anybody else in the nation. I can speak to it already. We already started off this morning competing. He beat me here a little bit. I walked back there, and they're having us sign balls, and he got a jump start. So I quickly went into 2-minute mode and was trying to catch up. His signatures looked a lot better than mine, but I put some pressure on him at the end. But he still finished signing off. I don't know how many balls there were, Coach. There were a bunch of them, but it was a fun challenge.
So he's presenting substandard autographs to fans. Is that what Dan Lanning is saying?
I was kind of confused by that. I was like, man, I remember when it used to be illegal to sign autographs, right?
It's crazy. Well, not for coaches, I guess.
Yeah, that's
right?
true. Yeah.
Not for coaches. Let's hear from his competitor tonight, the head football coach of the Indiana Hoosiers, Curt Cignetti, on taking on Oregon tonight.
Obviously, it's an honor. It's great to be here. I can't say enough great things about Oregon. I really have a lot of respect for Coach Lanning, their team, what they've put on tape, what they've gotten done in their recent history. They're good in all three phases, and they're a great football team. And people, I know I said it's hard to beat a great team twice. Well, it's hard to beat a great team, period.
A lot of pleasantries being
Yeah, it's kind of old, isn't it?
forth. Yeah, in reality, Kurt Signetti's thinking, "I'm going to kill him."
Every coach says the same stuff. It's just boring. You know,
You should fine him for that.
well, I'm with you on the. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. I have a lot of respect for the program. I don't know. I'm not asking for like WWE or MMA, but I don't know. I'm just so bored with these press conferences where the coach says the same thing over and over. And when you're in the media like we are, we hear it over and over every week, every day. I have a lot of respect for who cares? Give us something spicy. I want more Lane Kiffin, less Kurt Signetti, a little more shots. Like let's have fun with it. Enough of this respect stuff, you know?
I wish there was. We'd have to get AI involved in this, Cole. If we could track the number of times coaches say just well coached in pregame press conferences leading up to games all season long, I'll bet you one of us could quit our job.
Yeah, no doubt.
Let's hear from Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza on just what it means to have the multitude of Indiana fans traveling to these playoff games.
Hoosier Nation, they were a huge reason on why we beat Alabama. And the way we beat them is because it was a home game for us. I believe it was 80% Indiana fans, 70% Alabama fans. And having that home field advantage means so much to us as players. It's essentially having the 12th player on the field. And to have them show up not only meant so much off the field by disrupting the opponent, but it meant on the field with us and elevating our play. And we will have another opportunity to play in front of Hoosier Nation. As myself, having another opportunity to play, it's such an honor, and I can't thank Hoosier Nation enough for all the support.
What a nerd.
He is a nerd, but I like him. You know what I mean? I like that nerd.
I do too.
Let me ask you
I
this.
do too.
Do you think if we polled our audience, Diesel in the upstate and across the state and across the country, would know what a Hoosier is? An Indiana Hoosier.
I don't know what a Hoosier is.
Okay, that's my point. So a Hoosier is the nickname for a person from the state of Indiana, similar to someone from Texas being a Texan. So it's pretty much the Houston Texan mascot. It's an Indiana Hoosier. That's what you are if you live there, much like a Spartan Burger, right?
Yeah, but I mean they're from Indiana. They're not from Hoosier land.
But they're Hoosier daddy.
Then they should be Indianans.
That doesn't sound good.
Indianites?
Let's see. It says,
Idiots?
I'm just asking Chat GPT here. It's very widely embraced. Indiana residents proudly call themselves. Where the term came from, no one knows for sure. Popular theories include frontier slang, meaning who's here, a term for rugged, self-reliant person, a regional dialect word that stuck over time. None are definitely proven, but the nickname dates back to the early 1800s.
So you're telling me this is the 1800s version of Houdat?
Yeah, pretty much. Hoosier.
Lord. Cole, let's hear from Kirk Herbstreit. This was in his post-game post-game sort of analysis of the game. He has an urgent call to all coaches across college football.
And Scott, I know you got to head out. I just want to say one thing. In covering these games this year, in the midst of the portal and the calendar and all the swirling noise that's around this sport, one thing that I think we've been able to witness firsthand, if you're a coach watching this or a GM watching this, while you're chasing 5 stars and agents, street agents, and everything you're dealing with, you better build a team. Indiana, they don't have a lot of 5 stars. You know what they got? They got a team. This is still a team sport, and it's about winning games. Did you hear Miami when they got up on Jacoby Thomas? I mean, he almost had tears in his eyes talking about, I'm going to play for my guys. Like, if you don't build that and you just chase 5 stars, you're never going to be here on that stage.
So I looked at their recruiting classes out of the portal last year.
Yeah.
Indiana took 21 transfers. None of them were 5-star guys. Miami took 18 transfers. None of them were 5-star guys. They were split 50-50 between 4 and 3-star players. Indiana had far more 3-star players than 4-star guys. So I guess that means, Cole, that GMs and coaches, they ought to just not even bother with the 5-star. Troublemakers, they ought to just go after the 3-star dudes that really want to be there. I don't know that you're going to be employed for very long if that's your tactic.
Well, I know we got to run to a break, but I'll say this, Diesel. I'm glad you pulled that audio because I heard that this morning, and I think there's a lot of truth to what Kirk said. Look, two things can kind of be true here. You want 5 stars. You want ball players, right? Everybody does. There's no coach in the country, even Curt Cignetti, Diesel, wouldn't sit here and tell you today, I don't want any 5 stars. I don't want any. I'm good. No 4 stars. I'd rather have 2.5, 3 stars. That's no coach would say that. Where Kirk is right, I think the best talent evaluators out there, Diesel, understand talent evaluation, understand their roster, understand the needs of their roster, and can correctly and properly grade and evaluate the talent that they have in the building, and then figure out how to go get talent to mix all of that, to blend all of that into becoming a good football team. 5 stars across the board don't win championships. I'm not saying they do. You got to have dudes, but at the same time, I think like a guy with Curt Cignetti, Diesel, there's more to be said about somebody who can understand and evaluate talent, where you are as a program, where you need to go, and understanding that you can fill holes and get away with having 2 and 3 stars, even though I know that sounds disrespectful, because a guy like Curt Cignetti knows how to evaluate talent, period.
Madcraft says they should get rid of the star rating system. It breeds bad egos, and they are often wrong. Well, if they got rid of that, Madcraft, how would On 3 and 24/7 make any
There
sense?
you go. There you go.
Know?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of truth to the fact that those star systems were not designed to properly evaluate talent and potential.
Yeah.
It was designed to give you a reason to click on their websites.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Diesel, on the other side, we are going to spend 20 minutes breaking down why it was pass interference and piss off all of our listeners that don't like us talking about it. I'm kidding. Let's make our official predictions. Tolos, we want to hear from you. What's a Tolo? Turn on, leave on. That's what we ask you to do every single day on this show, on this station. Keep it on, because we want to hear what your official prediction is on the other side. Indiana, Oregon. Diesel and I will make ours. We want to hear what yours is next.
844-326-3663. That's 844-FAN-PHONE. This is Wire to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel on the Fan Upstate.
Well, Diesel, the time has come where you and I must make predictions for tonight's Oregon-Indiana game. Unfortunately, somehow, some way, our Twitter headline of the stream has upset Madcraft. I wish I had the problems that guy had in life. I'd be sailing rent-free. I have no idea. He will literally find anything to be upset about on the stream. He says, well, y'all had the headline of Miami matches up better with who, but it's just predictions because everybody hates Miami. Like, what? Dude, you grasp for straws so bad. You need some new straws because I have no idea. That makes no sense. Don't even know what you're talking about, but again, that's 50-50 with you. Let's make predictions. If that somehow entails we hate Miami, I guess it's time to hate Miami and make predictions for Oregon, Indiana. That's what we're doing. Is that okay, Diesel?
Yeah, let's get to it. Some people are just living in delusional land.
I don't know how that equates to anything other than, hey, we've got to make predictions. But Oregon, Indiana tonight, 7:30 TV time. I don't know what 7:30 even means anymore. I guess 7:30 just means like, hey, we want you on the couch around this time because kick last night, you and I guessed. I was way off, by the way. I said 7:37. You were closer than I was. What was it, 7:47?
7:47.
That's unbelievable. Unbelievable. So 8 o'clock tonight, it'll be, close to kicking off. Maybe a few minutes before. College football playoff semifinal at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Oregon, Indiana. And right now, Vegas has Indiana as a 3-point favorite. Interesting, Diesel, how both of these games last night and tonight are so very close in spreads, right? Indiana Hoosiers favored by 3.5. Fernando Mendoza has just been excellent. I gave out some stats earlier in the week about how Fernando Mendoza against Alabama, Diesel, was 8 of 8 against the blitz, 136 yards, 2 touchdowns. Here's what I find fascinating about this matchup tonight. So far this year, Diesel, no defense has really found the way to rattle Fernando Mendoza and throw something at him that he has not seen. There's a lot of good defensive minds out there. I don't know if Oregon's defense is going to do that tonight, but the fact that Mendoza has been so good all year, almost without blemish, I don't know how you pick against them tonight, do you?
Yeah, where do you go to find footage on how to beat this team? I mean, you could watch your own game where you lost by 10 at home to this team. You could go back and watch the game on the road at Iowa, figure out what they were doing. Obviously, you got to look at the Ohio State film because you have, a common conference opponent.
Or there. Penn State.
So, it's hard to say because these teams are so evenly matched in so many different ways. Who is battle-tested in close games where they've got to play tight.
Yeah.
Both of these teams have been in those situations. Fernando Mendoza has just been, you're right, has been elite. And how do you get into the mind of this guy? I mean, do you put a pretty girl on the sideline to flirt with him? I mean, what do you do?
Well, you know what? You talk about defensively Oregon, and obviously Dan Lanning and that offense with Dante Moore, they're very versatile. I just think tonight, when you look at this matchup, I think it really is going to come down to big plays. I know that Oregon's a big play machine, and I know that Indiana's also capable of making big plays. But when you looked at what happened last night, we know that in these type of moments, when games are stressed, when games are tight, whoever can hit on the big plays a lot of times have the ability to win. For example, last night, first half Diesel, Miami controlled time of possession. Ole Miss really was outclassed, outmatched in that first half. But what did Ole Miss do last night in that first half to keep themselves in that game? They hit on a big play, a Lacey run. What was it, 73 yards, something like that. Mm-hmm. And big plays are such an important factor. I'm going to say tonight's winner will be the team that can hit on one or two of those big plays. We know that Dante Moore's explosive. We also know that Fernando Mendoza, like we just talked about, there's nothing that we've seen in 2025 that really makes us believe that he's able to be stopped, so he can hit on big plays too. Coaching is going to be important tonight. but I think big plays tonight are going to show why Indiana or Oregon can win the game. I'm going to go with Indiana. I'm going to go with a favorite again tonight. I don't know where that ranks on my confidence meter. I'd probably say 60-40. If I had to say, Diesel, I'd probably say I like Indiana 60%, Oregon 40%. But there is a Dan Lanning, Dante Moore factor that I am concerned about because that guy's an athlete. And that guy's stats, 3,000 plus this season, you can't just you can't ignore it. As good as Mendoza's been, Dante Moore's been really, really good. He's been consistent. So I'm not ignoring that, but I also do think that Cignetti is going to have this team ready. Cignetti is going to be able to adjust when they need to adjust during this game tonight. I just like the overall product, offense, special teams, and defense of Indiana more than I like the overall product of Oregon.
I'm just looking forward to the faces that Curt Cignetti is going to be making from the sideline. You remember that shot from last week's game where he's kind of leaning. He's got the severe curl of his eyebrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, that is an intense guy on the sideline, and I can't wait. I mean, I think Dan Lanning's a little more not hyped, but he's a little more over energized on the sideline. He's been in these big game situations before. I'm not saying that that's going to cause him to make a mistake by a guy that's a little too twitchy, but it's certainly a clash of personalities. And I found that stat that I pulled earlier, Cole, in the last 25 seasons, in situations where two teams have played twice in the same year, 55% of the time it's a sweep. So it's so hard to pick. I mean, we're talking 55-45. Percentage-wise in situations where you either beat the same team twice or you split. So it's going to be wild to see how this one goes. Let's go to the phone lines and bring in Dewey, who's got something or a lot of things to say. I don't know what. Dewey, what's on your mind?
First of all, I got to respond to Cole talking about mad crap. Mad crap, you need to stop. Stop your whining. Your team won. That's it. Who cares if Cole likes Miami? No one likes Miami because Miami sucks. And Mario Cristobal sucks, and Carson Beck's a little Facebook 7-year person who can't go to the NFL, so he thinks he's going to try to stay in college for the rest of his life. So that's that. And just get over it. You won, Mad Crap. Go to bed. I know you've been up all night watching old Miami videos from the 1800s.
It's funny, Dewey. We have a new Tolo who is on the stream as Lawn Tractor Life. He heard you were coming on the stream. He goes, "Uh-oh, here we go." So your reputation apparently precedes you, Dewey.
Hey, Dewey, let me tell you a quick story real quick. Do you mind? Is that a yes, I guess?
Yeah.
I got a friend of mine who called me on Tuesday or Wednesday. And he lives in Columbia, works at a golf course down there, and he was watching the show, listening to the show on stream, Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube, while at work. And he called me, and he was cracking up laughing, and he said, "Who in the heck is this Dewey guy? I've got to know who this Dewey guy is." So the Dewey fan club is real. I just wanted to let you know.
Well, that's good because they're going to have to pay to watch the show to hear me.
That's right. Yep, paid subscriber.
But anyways, I got predictions too.
Okay.
Besides mad crap, you just go to bed.
Uh-huh.
But anyways, I think Oregon. I was thinking Indiana was going to win, but I think Oregon's gonna pull this out. The Indiana hype train ends tonight. Curt Cignetti, he wants people to Google him. You know what they're going to Google? Is they're going to Google when Oregon beats Indiana. That's what's going to be.
Wow.
Pat Cignetti. And I think Oregon's going to win. And as much as I believe Miami will beat Oregon in the national championship because of mad crap, I'm pulling against Miami. Just like I pulled against. Yeah, I'm going to pull against Miami. Oh.
Wow, that was incredible.
Thanks, Dewey.
You just never know what you're going to get. Dewey's like a box of chocolates, man. You just never know. But I'm going all right, let's make some score predictions. I'm going to go Indiana over Oregon tonight. The spread's 3. I like them by 7, maybe 8. I like Indiana, I believe, 30 to 23-ish, 24, somewhere in that ballpark, Diesel. 30 to 23, 30 24, maybe 30 21, something like that. Give me the Hoosiers. Indiana wins tonight.
It's better radio for us to disagree with one another, but I can't. I've got Indiana winning this game as well. Call it another 10-point game. I think it's probably going to play out in maybe some similar ways to the first time these two teams matched up because they're just both so good. Now, Oregon has made some adjustments on defense since then. They've been playing really good defense, but then again, it's still Curt Cignetti and his ability to adjust to what Oregon does. I mean, it's not like they just adjusted to it 2 weeks ago and you got limited game film to study. They made this switch at the mid part of the season, so there's a lot of film on them, not as much because they didn't run this defense the whole season, but we'll see how it goes. Let's go to the phone lines. And Cole, I challenged him to call in, and he's called in. Hurricane Jeff says, as usual, Dewey sucks. Here we go. Hurricane Jeff, you're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, gentlemen?
Congrats to you, man. Congratulations.
Hurricane. Great day to be Hurricane.
How about it, man?
Are you and Madcraft going to hang out for the national championship game?
I don't even know where he lives, to tell you the truth. But,
he don't either. He doesn't either.
But I kind of had a different theory on what the referee situation with that last call.
Okay.
I think that probably they didn't want to pull that flag because of the 2001 situation. That may have been kind of in the back of their minds a little bit. It's like maybe he had his hand on the flag. It's like, no, maybe I better not throw that flag. Because they don't want to be called out as being one of the worst referees of all time, as that other guy was. But anyway, but I do agree with you. That was there was a lot of hand fighting going on between the two, and that could have gone either way. I think. I mean, if we got away with one, okay, so be it.
Hey,
I'll
take them. Take them if you can get them. It's hard to win football games against really good teams.
Yeah.
Take whatever little advantage you can get.
And you never know. You never know what could have happened beyond that call. Even if they would have called it, Miami defense could have just stood up just like they usually do.
Hey, Jeff, if you're a Hurricane fan, who would you rather play? And I'd like to hear Madcraft's answer to this too, if it doesn't offend him. Who would you rather play, Indiana or Oregon in the Natty?
Man, that's a tough one because I don't know as much about Indiana, and Oregon's always been such a high-powered offense. It's difficult to say because, you have the Heisman Trophy winner on one side, and then you have the team that Mario Cristobal used to coach on the other side. So, to tell you the truth, I think for Mario, I'd love for them to see to face off against Oregon.
I like it. Thanks for the call, Jeff.
Thanks, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, man.
Texts in and says, has Dewey ever made an appearance at one of your live shows? I'd love to put a face to his voice.
Would you, though?
Yeah, that's a scary thought, Norchip. By the way, Dewey, if you would like to make an appearance, we're going to be on the road next Wednesday.
Spartanburg.
At the 8004 Warren H. Abernathy Highway store.
West Side, baby.
That's the one right across the street from Academy Sports, right, Cole?
Yep, West Side.
And then we're also on the 21st going to be at the Ingalls in Greer, the 1524 Locust Hill Road store.
Let's go.
Greer. So back-to-back Wednesdays, we're going to be on the road next week in Spartanburg, the West Side, and then the following week, the 21st, will be in Greer.
I like it. You and I both going with Indiana to end the segment, right?
Yes, we are.
Let's go.
I don't have a dog in the fight for either one of these two teams. I mean, I think whoever wins is going to be a challenge for Miami. I think it's going to be ultimately a good set of football games. So I'm excited about whichever team wins.
Let's do it.
I'm not going into this game with any rooting interest. When we come back, Cole, let's put a final bow on this for the week. Latest portal updates for both Clemson and South Carolina. Any changes in the last 24 hours? We'll talk about it next.
This is Wire to Wire with Diesel and Cole Bryson on the Fan Upstate.
Cole, we are smack dab in the middle of portal season, and this thing is changing basically on a daily basis. Clemson and South Carolina putting that full court press on some dudes that they really need. South Carolina needs more guys pretty much across the board than Clemson does, but Clemson definitely doing a great job so far with defensive players. Do we want to start with South Carolina? Do we want to start with Clemson?
Let's start with the Gamecocks. They finally got a big piece last night, and we were talking about it, and in terms of what they needed up front and on that offensive line on both sides of the ball. And we'll start with the Gamecocks.
Let's do it. They just picked up, Cole, a commitment from cornerback Quaysheed Scott, who is transferring in from the University of Kentucky, a 6 foot, 195-pound cornerback. They're going to need some help out there. They also picked up offensive tackle Jacarius Peak from NC State, a big dude. He's 6'4", 285. Phil Kornblue does a phenomenal job keeping track of a lot of this recruiting stuff. They've been going after Chaz Coleman from Penn State pretty heavily. They've been locked in a battle with LSU and Ohio State for him. They've sent planes up to go see him. I mean, they're all over this guy.
Yeah, and I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if you have this on your notes. If you do, I apologize. One thing to keep an eye on if you're a Gamecock fan, not trying to get you all excited, but just keep an eye on this. Michigan star running back Justice Haynes, Diesel, has entered the portal. And just so people know, Gamecock fans know, he chose Michigan over South Carolina. So just keep that out there, that South Carolina at one time was a strong option for him. So, they need a running back, and maybe if they could get that guy, it'd be big. Yeah. Be big.
Well, that's why I always thought Dabo Swinney's strategy should be, a second chance at guys that he really liked. It would also cut down a lot, I think, on the, the amount of money you have to spend to go recruit a guy, because you've already spent a lot of money and effort talking to a guy, getting familiar with him, studying him, watching his film. If there's a guy that you really wanted that chose somewhere else, you could get a second crack at him. And so Dabo could still kind of operate in the I trust my talent evaluation world, while at the same time getting a crack at a guy that ultimately chose somewhere else.
And Diesel, apologize if you said this one already, but this one just came in within the last hour. ECU transfer offensive lineman Emmanuel Poku has committed to South Carolina. So, hey, load up on that offensive front, man.
They need him. That goes along with Hank Purvis. We've been talking about him for a couple of days. Hank Purvis, who comes in from Purdue. They also got Carter Miller, a 3-star guy out of UCF, to add some big dudes, some meat to that offensive line.
Yeah, that's big time. And you know what? It's both lines of scrimmage, too. Defensive line, you got to be better. We talk a lot about the offensive line, but they got to be better on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, there was a handful of other visits that came to South Carolina today. Haven't seen the results of those visits or if any of them have made their decisions, but they brought in defensive tackle from Alabama, Kelby Collins, a 6'5", 275-pound guy. Drew Collins from Arkansas State, Josh Sapp, tight end from Clemson. How about that?
Yeah.
Expected to make a visit to South Carolina.
Greenville High School native, by the way.
Yeah, I knew that name sounded
familiar. Red Raider.
And then Francis Brewu, I think is how you say his name, defensive tackle out of Pitt, made a visit to South Carolina today.
Big time, man. You got to keep loading up. And you know what? I mean, who knows? It's like we talked about a few minutes ago. They don't have to be all 5 stars. It's about finding the pieces that work in your puzzle. And if those pieces work in your puzzle, new offensive line coach, new running back coach, new offensive coordinator, I like what Stan Drayton's doing already. Go get them, man. You got to go pay them. You got to go pay them.
There you go. Cole, what are you seeing on the Clemson side of things?
On Clemson's side of things, I don't want to say their work's done because they're far from done, but Diesel, it looks like the heavy lifting was done early in the week, in terms of getting the guys that were immediate impact guys. I think at one point during the basketball game, they had 7 commitments. So they announced the signing of Oklahoma defensive lineman Marcus Strong today. That's really big. That could be an immediate impact guy. You need immediate impact guys, and Marcus Strong, I think, is going to be a big one. So there's a lot to look forward to. Also, keep an eye on – no, I'm sorry. Lyreek Rawls, he committed to Arizona State. He was the guy that Clemson was targeting at safety. Safety's a big spot for Clemson, right? London Merritt of Colorado committing to Clemson, 25 tackles last year. I think that one's really interesting, Diesel. So a lot of the Tigers work done earlier this week. We'll see what they can get into next week as well. But making a very concerted effort that Tom Allen wanted to go in there and get his guys. And I applaud Tom Allen for being aggressive, because aggressive he was in the portal, Diesel.
And here's a little tertiary bit of transfer portal news for you. One-time Clemson commit wide receiver Ray Joseph, who was previously at Miami, is heading to East Carolina. He's going to go be a Pirate.
How about that?
Yeah,
How about it?
There you go. The absolute latest there on recruiting news as it applies to Clemson and South Carolina.
I like
Cole,
it.
we're going to cut you loose so that you can go get yourself ready for Burns boys basketball. Before we let you go real quick, you got a quick breakdown on tonight's matchup?
It's going to be tough. Spartanburg's really, really good. Spartanburg's really, really athletic. Burns is going to have to play their best defensive game of the night. You've got Spartanburg and Dorman back-to-back. Tonight, Spartanburg, Tuesday, Dorman, two of the best teams in the region. Zach Rich has done a great job here at Spartanburg. I'm making my way over to the gym here shortly. But Spartanburg's the real deal. They are a really good basketball team, and tonight's going to be a fun basketball game.
There you go. 7 o'clock, just an hour and 5 minutes from now. You're going to hear Cole Bryson on the call. Appreciate you today, bud.
Yeah,
When we
man.
come back, let's get back into the conversation of Miami, Ole Miss, a phenomenal game we saw last night, a phenomenal second half at least. We'll get into that next right here on the Fan Upstate.